Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the campaign wrap-up for our test play of the Magi-Knights TTRPG system. I am Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and magic keeper for this mini-series event, and joining me around my virtual table one last time is Alyssa, Dasonie, Hitoshura, Jeff, and Steven. Say hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Now, I don't really have any major announcements for this stream other than to say that we do have a lot of content coming out in 2023. The Debauchery Circus and the Fab Five will be back at their regular times for the final season of their campaigns. We have the Curse of Strahd that's coming out in the first quarter of the year, and I'm also planning another Magi-Knights series for the spring. As always, the best way you can keep up to date on everything we do is by following us on Facebook as Random Rhapsody TV and on Twitter as @random_Rhapsody. And that's it. That's all the announcements I got. So join us as we return to Laropa City one last time and chat with the Magi-Knights about their investigation of an echo from the stars. And we're back. So before we begin, we were gone, but we're back. But before we begin, I have two more people that I'd like to introduce. They're the creators of the Magi-Knights rule system, as well as the writers of Echo from the Stars, which is the module we just completed. Please welcome to the show, Derek and Kira Salji. Welcome. First of all, awesome to have you here. Thank you very much for being a part of our stream tonight. And thank you to everyone else, all of our Nighty-Knights. We had an interesting run with this whole thing. So I'm going to start things off just by asking, overall, how'd you like the story of An Echo from the Stars?
It had everything. It had drama. It tried to romance us.
We almost died several times.
Names.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, y'all had some interesting little capers there, which I feel like we hit every single side quest possible. Plus, I invented one.
And completed none of them.
You actually did. You completed pretty much all of them. You did the side quests were the disc that the kids who disappeared went and found from the woods. There was the ghost that was hanging out around the bookstore, which you kind of completed
that one.
You did actually. That was the kid who appeared when the disc connected to the stump. That was the same kid.
I never got that book from him, but that's because I ended up getting detention.
That's true.
Forever.
That's true.
We never
Detention
met
forever.
the ghost.
Yeah.
Like outside the shop. Just
No, you
before.
didn't.
Gotcha.
We banished him almost immediately.
You pretty much did, yeah.
We found out about his existence, and then we just yeeted him right back out.
Yeah, and then the best part was you spent like another full day trying to deal with him, and he was already gone. And like on the one hand, I don't ever want to take away player agency. I really wanted you to explore and deal with the things you wanted to deal with, but I also wanted to, hit the main plot points because I wanted that to happen within 10 sessions. It happened in 12, but that's okay. But still, I mean, you did eventually figure it out.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Just don't put on our report card that it took us 12 sessions, otherwise our parents will yell at us.
Apparently, we already had it done too, so we fully.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
didn't realize it was that many.
so my question to Derek and Kira, an Echo from the Stars was originally just like a home campaign of yours? Is that kind of the story? Or tell us about it.
That's what Magi-Knights was a home game. But an Echo from the Stars, we actually specifically wrote so that playtesters would have something to play to try out Magi-Knights.
Okay.
But it was a story. I mean, they were characters I had made up for other like novel ideas, book ideas I had. But then I was like, oh, this would make a good Magi-Knights story. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, originally,
Make sure you talk loud.
originally the first story was episode 2 with the Dream Wraith, and it became very apparent to us that we needed some extra material so that people could play test it. Which is when I kind of approached Kira and asked her, "Hey, would you feel comfortable writing a scenario?" So she totally took that mantle and ran with it.
Yeah, because episode 2 is actually 2 school weeks long. So we're like, oh, this wouldn't really be good for playtesting and to give out for free because it's double the work. So we're like, okay, let's make a shorter one and we'll give that one out for free. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. So Magi-Knights itself started off just as a homebrew kind of campaign that you were doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
What's the story with that? How did it all begin?
Basically, it started out with wanting to play with my daughter and involve her in TRPGs, and she was having a hard time. I can't talk. I can't.
Oh, could you hear yourself?
I hear myself. It drives me crazy. So I really wanted her to get into, role-playing games, and D&D wasn't quite cutting it with her. But she loved Magical Girls, Pretty Cure, and things like that, Sailor Moon. And I had this idea to adapt a system using those, magical girls. And initially it was the Genesis system by Fantasy Flight Games, which is really adaptive, easy to, pull in other genres and ideas into the bare bones game with that system. Ultimately, though, she liked it, but she said the dice was too difficult to understand because there's a lot of storytelling in the dice with the triumph and the despair. And so she was already slightly familiar with 5th edition. And so ultimately, I began the very long road of converting from Genesis to 5e. And then it just kept growing and growing. And eventually to the point where someone was like, hey, maybe this is a product you should think about developing and selling. So, and here we are.
Yeah, there you are. It's been, how long has it been now since you first put out the Kickstarter?
Since the Kickstarter? It was May. So, what is that? A little over 6 months.
Over 6 months.
Yeah.
And the Kickstarter kind of it got funded pretty damn fast, I'd say.
Yeah, it was. I was super happy about that, especially because we realized pretty quickly that we set our goal too high. So I was really scared we weren't going to make it, but we did, and then more than doubled it in the end. So I was very happy with it.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Super
I
happy.
bought into it myself, of course, which actually the funny thing is you said you made it because you wanted to get your daughter more into TTRPGs. The way I found your whole group and your system was I was looking for something to play with my kids who are all teenagers and love anime and love magical girls, and I happened to just see a ad for it on Facebook, and I'm like, I'll check this out. And fell in love with the system, fell in love with the concept. I love magical girl animes as well. Like I was watching that in the early '90s as a teenager, and I was just like, yeah, it's a fun genre. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's really nice because you bring in the. Obviously, I'm really into Sentai too, and I grew up watching both of them at the same time. And as I was developing this game, I kind of realized, wow, there's a lot more similarities than as you might initially think about. You don't really, well, at least back when I was growing up, just because you like Power Rangers didn't mean you like Sailor Moon right? Or anything like that. It was like little separation there, but kind of merging them together to create Magi-Knights it's just been an amazing opportunity and an amazing ride, and watching all of you guys have a great time with it and all the shenanigans has just been a blast. So thanks so much.
awesome. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. We definitely had a lot of shenanigans, which I want to kind of get into a little bit for all of you. I don't know if anybody here has actually gone through and read An Echo from the Stars after you played it or before you played it even. But
Dude, you're such a cheater, Matt.
So I actually played when I first joined the Magi-Knights server. I played in not a streamed one, but just a voice playthrough, and my approach was very, very different than what everybody did. I was obsessed with Lacey. I thought she was like there was a cult that was obsessed with her, and if I followed her, I would find this cult. And of course, that's not what happened at all. But I was also playing, like I had...
Came off as a creep?
No, yeah, well, I definitely came off as a creep because I was playing a tsundere who was like, just, I hate everybody, I don't want to do this, why am I dealing with this? Oh, I'm the only one that actually is like trying to find things. God. Ugh. So of course, like I never hit it off with her, but I kept following her the entire time.
So did you actually visit the toy store then? I think we've only had one group actually go to the toy store.
I did not. Yeah.
Hold up.
Oh, okay.
There's a toy. You had two of us who worked at a toy store, and you didn't just make that the toy store?
So you got both specifically said you said you worked at the video counter at a Toys R Us. This was a I actually did mention it. I mentioned it when you were looking into at the very first day at the computers. I mentioned that the new toy store was open. Now, if anyone would have paid attention to Mr. Voken's speech at the beginning of the story, then you would have heard about it as well.
Nobody listens to Principal Mazer.
Nobody listens to the
I'm not gonna
principal.
lie. I was tuning him out. I really.
No, I actually I literally expected everybody to ignore him and not pay attention. So that's why I specifically put that there, and it worked. It worked like a charm.
Yep. I love it.
Why is the school principal talking about a toy store?
Right?
He's a fun principal.
I swear I was paying attention.
The principals that want to be fun are the worst principals. I just.
Right? Oh my
Don't be
god.
Trying to
don't
be the
wanna be
hip,
my
laid
friend.
back guy.
Yeah.
Please do
No,
not
I'm
be
not
my
a
friends,
regular
Rick.
teacher. I'm your friend. I'm a cool teacher. No, that's not how it works.
No, it's really not. And, of course, I used my Voken voice for it, which just let's see if I can do it real quick on the fly. I haven't done Voken in 6 months.
Who is also my character's adoptive father in our Monday night campaign.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody realized this, but I used the module, but I changed all the names to reference my 2 homebrew campaigns that I run here on this channel on Mondays. So everything's the same except for the names, but those were the major changes. So Voken's that crazy guy that just wants to talk like this, and wow, let's see, man, Dragonfly, you just gonna be falling everywhere, ain't you? And he just talks like this the entire time. Is just really that southern down-hole gentleman that really just you don't want to listen to at all. Like it's Foghorn Leghorn.
The only note I have of it, because I missed the first session, so I ended up watching it and then making all these notes about what I actually did during the first day, and I even like made rolls and shit and wrote it down so that I could follow everything. Mm-hmm. What I wrote is Mr. Voken may be bad with microphones, but honestly he has such a warm voice, even if he is too long-winded. Anyway, lunch.
Oh, so you did it right. I write the important fact.
That's awesome.
That's what I have on Mr. Voken.
No, that's definitely valid. Now, on that first day, like all you had the assembly at the very beginning, mm-hmm. and then it's then you go to lunch, and that's really when you started meeting people. Like you met Cordelia Jones. You heard about the chick that was missing, Sarah, I think her name was. You also heard about Mark Polster being a womanizer. That was fun. That's kind of it, though. But in the afternoon after classes, that's really when you got your first sight of Mark and you got your first sight of Lacey. But you kind of ignored Lacey completely. I remember at one point David was the one person who saw her slip away. She slipped into the bathroom, and you saw her, David. And then you're just like, "Oh, I saw her. She's fine."
I saw her get away from the situation. She's fine.
Yeah, we were all way more concerned with like this pack of like bigger, older boys harassing this little girl.
Yeah,
that's not weird.
I walked the shit out of some people. I made sure the girl got away. We're
mm-hmm.
done. It's all
good. Yeah, that's true. But that was really the first time you could have interacted with Lacey. It was definitely a possibility. If you would have
telling me you wanted me to go into the women's bathroom.
Well, I'm not telling you that I wanted David to go into the ladies' bathroom. However, I will point out there were 3 ladies in your group who could have.
Yeah, but they were in the middle of a fight.
Apparently I didn't notice anything. My character, yeah, I have, because the player wasn't there, but when I rolled for it, I rolled an 8 perception, so I was organizing my locker, and I turned around and my friends were gone and fighting these boys, and I was like, what the fuck? That's what happened for me.
I think for me, it was like, I have a pretty good intimidation. Not that good of a strength, so if this comes down to a fight, I'm probably going to lose. But the intimidation really did work out in our favor.
Yeah, I didn't care. I just walked straight up to him. I was like, "Hey, you guys looking to get expelled on the first day? Because we can make that happen."
This is true. Now, afterwards, she went to the arcade. And if anyone would have gone to the arcade during the free period, that's really would have been the first major time you could interact with Lacey. And that's kind of where a lot of the story thing goes, because Lacey had a pretty standard, a set schedule every day. Mm-hmm. She would come home from school, she would go to the arcade, she would go to the toy store to pick up a package, and then she would go home, and that was kind of it. So those were your opportunities to really interact with her, which eventually you did kind of start getting interested in her after you realized that, hey, everything else is revolving around this girl.
I think that was Thursday, though, was the problem.
Yeah, that was Thursday. It was.
Yeah,
wait a minute. You know, this little girl just keeps being in the middle of everything. Maybe there's something more to her than just, happenstance.
So
I think maybe
like either she's important or this is a short module and there's only like 5 NPCs.
Yeah. I think my character went to the arcade like once or twice, but that was pretty much when I was like stressed to the max and needed to restore some points, because
you got stressed out a lot.
Yeah, out of all of us, I think I was the one who ended up the most stressed and exhausted all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The only time I took stress was in the final fight.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I was good for most of the campaign.
like to think that the reason why is because you're like a foreigner, you're in a new place, so it's stressful anyways. Now you have to fight interdimensional space demons.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true, Daryl.
What any 15-year-old has to deal with, really. It's just like going back to high school.
Yeah.
While being in high school. No, I like it. Lacey was fun for me, especially just because I just kind of played her off as tiny, mousy, and wants to get away the entire time. So even the rare time she did interact with you, like on day 2 when you came to her rescue, David, I still was like, I was still kind of like, oh, I feel bad for you. I want to help, but oh no, I need to leave you alone. So I tried to make her as timid as possible to, make it so that maybe that would be an interesting clue, because I didn't want her to be like walking around the entire time like, oh, I'm obviously evil. So you play her off as like small and mousy and forgettable. That way the attention goes elsewhere. And I feel like it worked, because the attention definitely went elsewhere every single time.
Everywhere else.
I'd like to think that it was just because I was incredibly talented at juking the plot. It seemed like if anything was going on, Iris was on the other side of town.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, and let's not forget Jasmine's car, like the hero of the story.
Oh yes,
the true villain.
The true villain.
Oh yeah. To Iris's credit, we split up a lot. And then the plot happened in a third place.
Yeah.
So all of us were wrong.
Fair.
We were not here for each other. But also to our credit, I think that we got really good at knowing where the plot was. Because once we figured out Lacey was like the main person we had to worry about, we were like all in on Lacey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't happen until before last day.
Before the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were a little late on the uptake on that.
I mean,
but
we started to put it together a little bit earlier. Like, why the fuck does everybody have the hots for this girl that universally has a gargoyle kiss? I think it was described as.
Yeah.
Like kissing a statue.
Oh. I was like, gargoyle.
Yeah, she was described often like that, kissing a statue.
For it. I feel like, at least me, I was like, I don't like her. I feel like I made the character decision very early. I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't like her.
So, the vibe I kind of got from the module, and Kira, you can tell me if I'm right on this or not. I got the vibe that she was in love with the idea of love, that fairy tale kind of romance love, but when it came to the actual in-your-face dudes uber attracted to you, she just like shied away like, oh my god, this is not what I was looking for, and then it's deer in the headlights kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Coming exactly from the woman who is hugely obsessed with Disney. So yeah, this sounds it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually.
That's relatable, honestly.
Disney gave us all very oh shoot, what's the word? Is it
distorted?
Yeah, I guess distorted expectations of
Unreal.
A lot of different things.
Unreal
Expectations.
Yeah.
Like yes, for a lot of different things, whether it be romance, hair, like the ability to walk gracefully and talk with animals. Like
it
was a lot.
She was
fucked us up a lot.
She was a traditional standard Disney princess in the vein of like Ariel or Belle, and her prince was Shrek. And so she's expecting, the normal Disney prince, and she gets this guy instead. And, she was not a Fiona, so.
Well, she definitely has a type. She definitely had a type. Every single guy that she went after had one super defining feature about him that she obsessed over, and that kind of came out in the end when Daryl, you saw them in the dream sequence. The thing that Lacey would always, or that people said Lacey was interested in each time, that was the thing that was removed. Like the one guy's eyes were sewn shut, the other guy's lips were sewn shut, the other guy had like withered arms and stuff like that. So everything.
I have to ask, because I got glamored by Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
So what was she obsessed with about me?
So that's the thing, though. You got glamored by her, but she never showed interest in you because by that time she was already had the second phase of her madness. So she was distrusting of pretty much everybody.
Oh.
So you got obsessed with her because you failed your save on that one. Your purity, I think it was a purity save possibly, or a resist magic. Maybe it was resist magic.
Probably a resist magic because I had a really high purity.
Yeah, then it was resist magic. But when you failed that, you became obsessed with her, so you got the exact same effect that Mark did and all the other boys. They were all obsessed with her, but then you never went up to her and said, "Hey, I like you. Will you go out on a date with me?" You never actually interacted, so she couldn't complete that second transition. But
That's fair.
Oh shit.
yeah, but if you had actually went out on a date with her, if you had kissed her, then you would have been affected with a completely different disability in the fight. You would have there would have been a spectral Magi-Knight doll of you, and it would have I can't remember what it would have done offhand. I'll have to look.
Do you remember? I can't remember either.
I have it. It's the doll's face has a Sloughed sloughed looking skin and looks exactly like the Magi-Knight. At the beginning of the round, they gain the drain condition. So, and that's the only one that you can actually roll mysticism checks on. But you take damage. Oh wait a minute. Oh, let's see. Magic damage or you have to deal damage to the doll to get it off. But anyway, yeah, you have the drain condition, which would have sucked for you. So I would have probably described it as the doll's whole body looks withered and husk-like, and your vitality is drained. That's how I would have described it.
She only wanted one part of those other boys. For me, she had to have the whole package.
I never thought of it that way.
No.
Yep.
I'm going to give you that one, buddy. I'm going to give you that one.
Oh, please, no.
But yeah,
Just have such nice skin.
but that night you did go up against the cultists, and you actually beat them really soundly that first evening. You all focused on disrupting the summoning circle instead of actually hitting the knights. So in that battle, I remember most of you were throwing your spells at the circle, and you basically just drained through all of your hit points or all your mana points the entire time. But it did work. I allowed it. I was like, you know what? I don't see a mechanic for this, but it makes sense. So we're going to go with it. You blew up the sigil. It's done. They can't summon their thingies, which was pretty good for you. Because if they would have completed that with all of your mana drained, that battle would have been hella difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a gamble that paid off for you guys, so well.
Yeah.
I think
There
that
are
also
so many
started the
ways we
tradition
could
of
have died.
I think that also started the tradition of us just shooting the summoning circle anytime we fought a cultist.
Oh, yeah. Every single time you did, yeah.
It was just no, this thing is going to be bad. Destroy it.
Kill it with fire. It cannot
Thank
survive.
God for all of David's fireballs, basically, because
Oh yes.
we would be dead many times if it weren't for
Yep.
David's ability to blow people up.
David
Okay,
being the king
here-
of AoE is great.
here's a fun thing. Except in that one fight where there was only one target, David killed exactly 8 people per session.
Wow.
Or per fight.
Per fight. Per fight.
The one with one target is the one I did well in. I appreciate
Yeah. I'm actually. I kind of regret not having you kill at least one person with the car, just to give you some corruption.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I was like this close.
In that last session, I just
did
tried to
hiding from the
hijack
police
that car in
not
front of their
work?
house and like run it
That
into
first
it.
time, she almost killed Daryl. We almost ran him over.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So I like to call Magi-Knights a very forgiving yet unforgiving system, because there's a lot of things that when you compare it to 5e, it's like, oh yeah, that's way more forgiving than the way some people follow the rules in 5e. But then you get into these boss fights or even just major daily battles, and it's like, holy shit, these could absolutely kill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more like swingy than regular D&D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But for me,
that was one thing we were going for, being able to go Nova basically almost every time, every session. As we have higher level scenarios, we'll have multiple encounters, and you'll use the Moments of Solace rules to kind of like slightly recuperate. But yeah, we do really want that powerful feeling of, just like Sentai and Mahou Shoujo, Magical Girls. They just go in for that one big battle. They're going, they're throwing everything they have at those, monsters just to win that one big fight. And it's not until you see those like boss fights where they kind of have to do, like that multi-tiered battle. That's a special occasion, Those are storyline affecting and very significant. And so we definitely wanted to capture that. And so far, it's worked great. I mean, everyone loves going Nova. Even in D&D, people love just being like, yeah, I'm gonna take a CR8 creature, even though we're all level 5. That's fine. Let's go, guys. And yeah, it's been really awesome. So
I know I definitely enjoy that factor of it. Like when we're playing it, to me it very much reminds me of an episode of like Sailor Moon or something along those lines, where you're going through your day, you go to class, you interact with your friends, and then oh crap, something really bad's happening. We got to go rush in and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now, day 2, I want to kind of go through the days just a little bit with everybody. What do y'all think about meeting, the Ghost Hunter Club and interacting with that group?
It makes
Didn't they kick us out like
sad.
immediately?
Oh yeah, they did.
They
Yeah.
did.
Jasmine, right?
I didn't like her. I think that's in my head. I was like, Jasmine's a mean girl. I think that's when I solidified in my head. I was like, I'm not playing like this soft, sweet girl. She's like, she was probably like a bitch before she got to the school. She's like, no, not these people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We got like nowhere with the ghost hunting club just because we showed up like, hey, what's up, guys? And like, no, fuck you, get out.
Well, they did give you a chance. They invited Iris and Jasmine to come to one of their meetings. I remember Jasmine saw the video of the actual ghost kid and freaked out, just completely lost her shit, and basically wanted to peace out immediately. So you didn't get to hear them talking all about what their plans were, which, if you remember the video store battle, they were talking that day about meeting with that cult group, either that night or the next night. And if you had done that, if you would have gone and followed them, you would have found out that the cult was drawing the circle in that area and preparing for it the day before. So you would have had time to get the jump on them or do pretty much however you wanted with it. But it was just an extra opportunity to see what the cult was doing and maybe get a chance to get the drop on them and learn some extra info.
Mm.
I remember when I did my playthrough of it, only one person actually went to that. He tried to throw a net on the cultists, but he rolled shit on his stealth check, and they saw him immediately, and they just bolted. So he got nothing.
Oh Oh wow.
See, in my head, if I was the person that went, I would have tried to run them over.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh
you
yeah,
would've.
you 100% would have. I think there needs to be a car summon.
Rider as
There has to.
a magical girl.
Say that again, Derek.
I was saying, I'm surprised she didn't have like, what was it, the Hell Rider from Ghost Rider?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If it was an option, I would have taken it. Listen, there's an entire season of Kamen Rider where the dude just has a car. I mean, if you add a car subclass, I feel like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, make it like a third level tier spell, summon car. You just throw a car at him.
Well, there already is in 5e, there is a technomancy spell called Find Vehicle. And it's straight up just Find Steed, except you can get a vehicle, and I'm relatively certain tank is mentioned explicitly in the spell description.
Oh god.
I mean, third level of Artificer, you could just take the Battlesmith and make your pet look like whatever you want. I actually had a character who they let me make it like a motorcycle, and so I basically was a Ghost Rider type because I was playing a tiefling.
Well, okay. So what's really nice about this, it is very clearly stated. This is set in the 90s, so there were very clear cut of what existed, what didn't, kind of thing. Whereas D&D, it's like, what is the technological? where is that line? It doesn't exist. It's everywhere.
Yeah, with a multiverse.
Until you let Alberon come in.
Well, in the multiverse, there's all sorts of different things. There's in Eberron, it's like very steampunk. In other parts, like in Spelljammer, it's a lot more magical ship based. But there, Earth technically does exist in the D&D multiverse. That's actually where Vecna originally came from. Now that's a deep dive for.
Fuck Vecna, Jesus Christ.
He would too. He's one of our nerds. He's a Star Wars fan. That's his big...
Oh, definitely, he's a Star Wars fan. Well, let's see. Other than that, on day 2, you also visited Anthony Reed that day.
Yeah, at the hospital.
Yeah. That one was a fun one because Daryl became pizza guy for that one.
That's right.
When you start talking about giving, you started off, I want to get extra pizza. I'm like, okay, I don't know where you're going with this, but whatever. And then you're like, oh, I offer the front desk lady some of my pizza, and I'm just like, okay.
No, it's like that trope in movies. Bruce Banner is trying to break into computer lab to get his research, so he offers the front desk guy an extra pizza because he's pretending to be the pizza guy. They just let him on through.
Hey, it works.
They probably would have just let you up.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
They definitely would have.
It hasn't been invented yet.
It was definitely lax back then. I remember that very well. But that was one of your first opportunities to actually stop the chrysanthemum, which I can never say this name, Relahaya, or something along those lines. But I'm about to ask you how to actually pronounce it. But in that instance, if you remember, he asked you to put the blanket over the mirror. And you did?
I did, and then it fell off.
And you left it there. And that was the opportunity. If you would have put it back on it, you would not have had his doll to deal with. He would not have been in the middle of that. Yeah, but that was really the first major opportunity to affect that final battle. Because if you wouldn't have if he wouldn't have had the blanket on, if he would have had the blanket on the mirror, he would not have been sucked away, and his father would have picked him up the next day. So it would have been a completely different storyline from that point. So that's pretty interesting. But now that I've said that, how do you pronounce this freaking boss's name?
We actually just say it Relaya, so just say it all together.
Relaya.
Relaya.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, Relia. How'd you say it?
Relia.
Yeah,
Relia. Okay. It's very
reliable.
it's very Call of Cthulhu. It's very H.P. Lovecraft. And everyone knows I'm terrible at pronouncing anything.
Yeah,
This is the first episode you pronounced my stage name correct.
Yeah, because I practiced it.
Actually, if you check
That's
out
so
the new poll, we put in 3 names of the cultists, and one of them is Koi Riweya, and then we also have Lowakoach, and let's see, Kethel Huafui Koar, and so it's fun. There's a whole language, there's a whole spectral tongue I made to kind of create spectral outsider names and the names that are bestowed upon you when you become a cultist. So that's been actually a really fun part too. So
Can I make a request, or is it too late? Phonetic pronunciations included.
That would be helpful.
Yeah,
That would be very helpful for me, because I could sit there and I could, okay, this is how it is. I can sit there and say it a few times and pronounce it. Okay, I
like it.
Just let people come up with their own pronunciation.
There's that too. Absolutely.
I
Pronounce it however you want.
Yeah. In my head, it was pronounced Ra Ali like the rapper, and I do not know why.
I love it. Okay. Other than that, was really kind of it for that day. You did a patrol phase, but there wasn't a whole lot going on that day. Next day was Wednesday, and that was the day that Daryl, you ran into Lacey at the library.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, day 3, Wednesday, was the day he ran into Lacey at the library. And the day began. Yeah, the day began with Carson, Kissmaster Carson, going to the nurse. Which, Iris, you're the one who took him to the nurse.
I did. I didn't notice anything though, because I'm clueless, Iris, who doesn't notice things because I have average wisdom or something.
Yeah. Other than the fact that he was sick, there really was kind of it. You could have probably. There's always opportunities, but after that, that's when Lacey kind of she went into the library and she started talking to Chrysanthemum. Daryl, I think you had failed your one of your checks and got called out once you went into the library, which is what alerted Lacey that someone was coming. So instead of being able to hear her entire conversation, you only kind of got the tail end of it. And that's when she charmed you with her the natural ability she had. But once that happened, that's really when she started becoming distrustful of everybody. That's the point that she started questioning whether or not what was going on, because she had seen Carson. I mentioned it to Iris when Iris was taking Carson to the nurse, that Lacey happened to walk by and noticed and kind of ran off after seeing him go to the nurse's office.
Iris didn't notice that.
I don't think so.
Otherwise, I might have done something about that. Because I remember explicitly that I rolled poor enough that, you mentioned that Lacey walked by, but Iris didn't notice. So I'm just like, well, I guess I'll just let that situation just.
Yep, and that's the unforgiving part of the system, is that sometimes things happen by, and if you don't pay attention to it, boom, that's your one chance. A lot of times I'll kind of work in extra chances to find things as well, which I think I did on day 4. But
we also had ways that you could find out the same information from a different source.
Pretty much that's a lead.
Yeah, when you do your investigation phase, there's also opportunities to do that. That day was actually you used your investigation phase and you headed out to the woods.
Into the woods.
Yep. Into the woods, which made Alyssa hate me for like a month.
We were not home before dark, though.
No, you were not. But see, now that was the thing that I kind of homebrewed a little bit. Normally, if you were to go into the woods, you wouldn't actually fight a battle. You would have found the stump. You would have tried to figure out how to put the disc of wood back on there, and that's you would have been able to talk to the kid, and you would have gotten. I think it was an inspiration point you would have gotten off that. But I really wanted to play around with leveling up. One of the major things I really wanted to do when I said I was going to do this this miniseries was I want you to get your chance to roll like you're supposed to based on the rules, level up at least once, and fight a couple really cool battles. So basically, I took Relahaya's stats, and I kind of halved the abilities and then tweaked it a little bit, and that's what I did to create the husk. The way I kind of explained it was, in my mind, when Chrysanthemum came down to Earth, she landed in that tree. Then the tree got cut by a woodsman. It fell down, releasing her. She molted at that point and killed the guy and drug his body off, but left the pieces there. The kid found it, yada, yada, yada. Two of them get slaughtered, blah, blah, blah. And you all found that out through the news article you all found. But I decided that molting would be your mini boss of the campaign. So that's kind of where I went with that. Which I think that was. How did you all like the mini boss? Did you think it was really challenging? Do you think it was really easy? Do you think that was kind of just right for a level 1 mini boss?
I didn't roll above a 10 the entire fight.
Alyssa, you're muted.
Died.
Yeah, like 2 people almost died.
Yeah, I was gonna say, considering all of us except for Jasmine died at least once in that fight.
So it was just right. Jasmine hid in a tree and took pot shots. The rest of you were on the ground, and because of things were happening, I wanted you to experience almost death. That was my main goal. I wanted it to be challenging enough that it felt like, circumstances are real. This is definitely deadly. But I also, in the back of my mind, I wanted you to win. I always root for my players, of course. Mm-hmm. So I wanted you to win. But I also wanted it to feel like it was a genuine challenge. That way it made sense for the level up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting that I think D&D has almost done us a favor because it's reinforced in people's minds so solidly. If I go below 0 HP, I'm dead or I'm dying. I'm on the brink of death. And yet that's not the case with Magi-Knights. They're heroes. They have these incredible abilities to just keep getting up after disastrous consequences and damage. And so having that soul crystalline, the soul crystal mechanic where you can die, quote unquote. You can take this fracture and you can keep going, and you can keep going and going until you're at 8 fractures. But the moment someone sees their HP hit 0, they panic, and it almost reinstills that sense of horror and that survival instinct that we love to see in players. Which is so funny though, because as the person who made the game, I'm like, you don't even have any crystalline fractures. What are you crying about? Calm down. If you don't have at least 4 fractures, no crying. I'm gonna keep wailing you.
Yeah, and that's actually the exact same thing I have going on in my mind too. Is okay, I'm a 5e player too. I'm okay, they're really close, but I also know they have those fractures. They're fine. They're fine. I can pound on them a little bit more.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
And to me, the whole mechanic of the crystal fractures, it goes back once again to Sailor Moon. I remember all the Sailor Moon movies where she's getting hit by the big boss, her crystal shatters, then something happens and it comes back through the power of love and friendship, and she gets back up. That's exactly what the mechanic reminds me of. So I love that about it.
Hey, I had every right to freak out. I ended the game with 5 fractures, I'll have you know.
You did.
Yeah,
You did.
Very nice.
He really whooped your ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she did. She absolutely did. And
Like,
for me, that was fun.
overall, on like most of the categories, I think my character was the one who took the most punishment in terms of like stress and exhaustion and crystalline fractures, and it was just
You were really testing the mechanics for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was stressed in real life watching you, worrying about you.
We were.
See, but that's good because it means I had fans.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here. I have to ask you two, what were you watching at home? How did you like the characters that were mucking around in your world?
Oh, that's actually a great question. Derek and Kira, how did you like our Nighty-Knights?
Oh, I thought it was so fun to watch. I mean, I played through the story 3 times myself, and I've watched. Is it just 2? I watched 2 groups play through it, so basically 5 playthroughs, and it's different every single time. And it's just fun to see how you all handle it. And I think Jasmine was the first person to make friends with Cordelia, right? So I loved seeing that too. That was
Nice.
really fun. 'Cause most
Nice.
people hate her. So when you
Mean
were
girls stick together, man.
so when you were saying Jasmine hated Lacey as soon as she met her, I was like, well, but she made friends with Cordelia, so
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we actually had a school fight because of Cordelia in one of our play-by-post games.
Yeah.
I mean, if Buffy taught us anything, is that Cordelia's not all bad.
Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
not gonna lie to you, because of my love for Buffy, I was like, of course I'm befriending Cordelia. What do you mean?
Heck yeah. Oh, the scene that really solidified your two friendship in my mind is the moment that you picked up that carton of milk and dumped it on Mark's head. That was just amazing.
That was pretty memorable.
Yeah, and we also loved all of Daryl's heroics and love pronouncements for Lacey and everything like that. It was just we were cracking up all the time.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really enjoyable watching you guys. You definitely made it your own.
Mhm.
From Matt kind of throwing his own little spin on everything, which I love seeing, you know, as someone who went over the story with Kira and kind of figured out how to make it a module. And then running it through, I think, 3-4 times now?
Yeah.
Personally, watching 2 people, you know, stream it and then doing, you know, the play-by-post. It's so fun seeing all the different variations and how much unique of a story the players themselves bring to it and how invested they get with the characters and the NPCs, whether that's Mark or Levi or Lacey, and then seeing their team dynamics, you know, and how they interact with one another. It's just really fun because it's always a great story. It's always a great time. And so, you know, we really appreciate you guys doing this. It was just, there were so many nights where Kira and I were just sitting on our chairs, just laughing our heads off at, you know, all the crazy antics you guys are doing. And
I mean, you say team dynamics, and the first thing I thought of was me going to Matt and going, hey, would it be reasonable for me to have a pocket knife? Cool. I just want to be prepared in case Jasmine ever manages to get another car. Slash the tires with.
Yeah, that was a legit conversation.
Is it wheezable?
So for me, like, I can run a module a lot of different ways. I can go completely off the books and tweak everything. I can go a little more pure. But to me, I feel like it's really the players themselves that make the story what it is. Like I was just reading off of a page and just changing names and, you know, tweaking things here and there. But for the most part, I ran it fairly straight. But your group, you guys are the ones that decide how things are going to go, what things are going to hit, what things you focus on and what you don't. Like, one of my favorite quotes is that the GM, the DM, whatever, can make a story a heist, but the players decide whether or not it's going to be Mission Impossible, Pink Panther, or Benny Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's 100% accurate. Now, of course, 99% of the times the players are definitely going to choose Benny Hill, but, you know, there's always that choice. Player agency. That's what's really important, and that's really what makes any game, streamed, not streamed, whatever, the successes that they are. So, from me, thank you all, because you all did an awesome job.
I mean, it's just like one of the things that we always talked about as a concept in live action role playing, where you can give somebody a basic concept or like, a basic character sheet of like, here's a fighter. And then you have, 5 different people that you hand it to and they all play it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
One person wants to be the big greatsword type. One person wants to be the defender. One's the rakish swashbuckler,
Yeah, exactly. So, that's kind of really what happened on day 3. Day 4 is let's see. Actually, is there anything else we did on day 3? I'm trying to double check.
No, totally
No,
not.
that was it.
Nothing else happened at all.
I wanna clarify. Is the
that's the
video
video.
only take place over a single week?
Yeah, 5 days.
Oh my gosh. 5 days?
Mm-hmm. 5
We
days.
were arguing.
Are you sure it wasn't 4 months?
It sure felt like 4 months. Dang.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, that's really what it was, because it was AM phase, BM phase, boom, boom, boom. But 5 days in total, you went from seeing Lacey being chased by a group of random dudes to finding a giant spider with scissor fingers crawling around her roof.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and some groups have the what do you call it? The almost required, I guess, beach episodes. So some people are like, "Hey, we gotta have a beach episode day 6," and I'm like, "All right, guys, here we go."
Oh, definitely. I guarantee. But go ahead.
We have a beach episode.
Because it was in the end of August.
At least we didn't have to have the flashback episode that's only there to save on money.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's true.
The clip show.
I mean, I feel if we do a whole campaign, we have to have the season requisite clip show, and we have to do it in kind of that new Power Rangers thing where it's a game show for whatever reason.
I'm down for that. I am down for that.
You can't get out of this other dimension until you answer trivia based on what happened in your season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Iconic, honestly.
They did that. They did that for like 10 straight seasons, and I don't know why that's the theme.
And then in Dino Charge was like a whodunit mystery, because the clip show was a Halloween episode, and they were like,
Right.
okay, we have to look through everybody's memories. I was like, that's such a good concept. That's too good of a compliment to use on a clip show.
It was very good. Like,
I was like,
God,
on a clip
Dino
show?
Charge was good. Dino Charge was good.
I do
Now-
love
Until
Dino
the
Charge.
ending.
I will tell
I like
you.
the alternate dimension.
Yeah, I mean that make that. Okay, when you watch that ending, you have to take it by itself and completely forget that that's like part of a greater canon, because
It's
otherwise
not
it
anymore.
makes, otherwise it destroys everything.
Yeah, they threw them bitches in their own dimension. They were like, can't have y'all part of this anymore.
Also, does anybody care if I give minor spoilers for Dino Fury?
No.
I will literally never watch it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
According to Dino Fury, because of the way the Morphin Masters are involved in everything, the Morphin Masters are responsible for the destruction of the Dino Charge universe. Just flat out.
They're like, what if we sent these crystals there? That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't
What
even
if
know.
what if we sucked the Earth into a black hole? What if we just did that and then reverse time so it never happened, but we still totally made a black hole happen?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just like half of Doctor Who right there.
They were in a silly, goofy mood.
I guess. Also,
Listen,
they
as
did
somebody-
just shove a Doctor Who character into Dino Charge.
Did they actually?
As-
God.
Snide is so good. Like, Heckle and Snide are so good.
Oh,
but-
he is
but
a Doctor Who
Heck-
character.
Heckle is straight up a Doctor Who character.
See, I like Heckle and Snide, but I don't like Doctor Who.
Well, you're just wrong. Steven. That's all there is to
Very
it.
unfortunate for you.
I always
Very
just tell
brave to
people
admit online.
Doctor Who, more like Doctor Who Cares.
That is a very brave thing. Yeah, me too. That is a very brave thing. It's a very brave thing to admit online. So when everybody wants to send hatred towards Steven, please do not do so on Random Rhapsody.
To be clear, I did attempt to watch it, and I did attempt to watch the series that has one of my favorite actors in it, and I still didn't like it.
Who dat?
Christopher Eccleston.
Oh,
I'm a
A
Capaldi
lot of
girl
people-
personally.
a lot of people don't like that season of Doctor Who.
Oh, I loved it.
Eccleston's my
Capaldi's
favorite.
season was weird.
I'm-
Moffat was kind of a weird writer. I appreciate a lot of what he was trying to do, but I think a lot of it was too much for me personally.
I just like Capaldi the most out of all the actors. So I'm like,
Capaldi
this
is
for me.
wonderful. I agree with you, Dasonie. Capaldi is wonderful. Sylvester McCoy will always be my favorite.
Oh, if we're talking classic, John Pertwee. Because he fucking just decked somebody in every serial.
Hell yeah, he did, and it was
What?
amazing.
Baker.
Yeah, well, yes, Tom Baker is the penultimate, but Sylvester McCoy was my favorite because that's what my local library, had the most of, was Sylvester McCoy. So I watched them all on VHS as a kid, and I absolutely loved them.
Man, I wish I lived somewhere that had a large enough population that the library would have this shit, but no.
Well, this was also in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm pretty sure you weren't alive then.
Hey now. I was around in the early 90s. Fuck you.
Watching
Lo-
Doctor Who? As a
Yeah.
I
toddler.
mean, okay, my parents curated what I watched a little too closely to allow a toddler to watch Doctor Who.
There you go, then.
I wasn't even allowed to watch Sailor Moon, y'all.
Aw.
She
That
screamed and
sucks.
cried too much. They were like, no, we are not raising a child who's going to scream and cry at everything.
Wow.
You're not
That-
allowed to watch.
I don't
Seth,
blame
we're-
Actually, I understand.
If we're specifically talking about like a Sentai Magical Girl system, the weirdness for me was when my parents wouldn't let me watch Power Rangers, but they would let me watch Big Bad Beetleborgs or Mystic Knights, which were basically similar.
Yeah.
Right.
They're the
Yeah.
same thing.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
I watched all of it growing up. I watched Power Rangers. I watched Big Bad Beetleborgs. I saw VR Troopers.
Yeah.
I was
Remember
watching Winx Club, Sailor Moon, Magical Magica.
Okay, I went through a huge Winx Club phase. I'm not gonna
I'm
lie.
still a Winx girl. I
Okay, not the new Netflix live action show. That's not Winx.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in
not
that.
Winx.
It doesn't exist. That's not
No.
a thing. Netflix
I
never.
don't know
made
what you're
that.
talking about.
I didn't even know that was a thing. So
Yeah, it's
There-
because it's called. It's what is it called? The
Fate.
We will not, we
of
will
the-
not
Fate.
name it.
It's not. It's not
think
called
it's
anything
not-
because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
There you
I'm
go,
not
then.
sending any viewers to that goddamn show. That's why.
Is there anybody else in the group besides me who loves Street Sharks?
Oh.
Oh,
They were too bulky for me.
anthropomorphic sharks that had abs for absolutely no good goddamn reason.
But they ate concrete. It worked.
It was cool.
I,
I thought it
What
was
is it?
cool.
What is it with that time period in television that had all of these like anthropomorphic cartoon characters with these like shredded abs for no reason?
There was a reason. There was a reason. It's to make a bunch of furries as adults. They were planning this.
Okay.
I have a real answer for you if you're curious.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the 80s, there was a lot of the like He-Man type, very strong, muscular, manly men type heroes was kind of the big thing in action shows. And then in the 90s, we saw the rise of mascot characters. You saw a lot of like Sonic and,
So they just
and
decided
all
The
these
Disney
animals.
things.
And it's just kind of a confluence of
Gotcha.
of inspiration, which is why we have like SWAT cats and Street Sharks and all this other shit like
I mean, I'm
that.
not gonna
Samurai
lie, at the
pizza
time,
cats,
I was
holy shit.
Not mad at gargoyles. That's about it.
I watched the hell out of that show.
This is what I love about this game. So many people just reliving the 90s, and then
Heck
you
yeah.
would have the people who are like, wait, I wasn't even alive. Like, what are you guys doing?
Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly the game is entirely derailed, and you're having an hour-long conversation about what is a blockbuster and all these crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the people who don't know what Blockbuster is.
That's why I had to include it. I had to do a Blockbuster video just because for that nostalgia factor.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to
Wow,
ask if that
what
was
a
actually in the
difference.
module.
It was not. It was not.
Yeah,
They gave
exactly.
they gave a generic name.
Yeah.
What was it? I don't even
Copyright
remember.
issues are a thing.
Vegas video rental, I think,
Yeah.
is what we called it.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Vincent's Video Rental.
Oh, does it still say Vince?
Yeah, it says Vincent's on my copy anyway.
Okay.
Local neighborhood
Yeah.
square-shaped block exploder.
Yeah. So
Video.
I had two options. When I was thinking about when I was putting together the video rental. Number one, I could do a Clerks reference, RST video, and I was this close to it. But but the reason I didn't is I was like, how many people would get that reference off randomly?
Me.
Okay, then I probably should have done it. But I mean,
So 2 out of 5.
yeah, 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
But I
That's
mean,
about right.
Look for the
Yeah.
girls in the back.
but pretty much anybody who lived in the 90s at any point remembers Blockbuster Video. It's
Mhm.
just that nostalgia thing at this point. I still have my old Blockbuster card. I have it in like my wife's jewelry box. I gotta keep it for the nostalgia factor of it.
Would you
Well,
believe I did not like Blockbuster as a kid?
At all?
What?
Okay, so
Hmm.
here's my reason. My reason is 100% just mechanical.
Okay.
Blockbuster, you could rent a game for 3 days, but my local Kroger had a game rental place in it where you could rent it for 7. The same.
But their selection sucked.
It had Final Fantasy 4 and 6 in it, which was good enough for me.
Okay, so my friends, I have my brother's old PS1 Sport, and my friends gave me, what was it? It's Final Fantasy 4 and
Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, but I can't get them to work.
Oh.
I get the beginning animatic, and then it says like press start or whatever, and I press, and nothing happens.
No.
Have you tried turning it on and turning it back on again?
Basically since
In the power club.
Yeah.
Have you tried blowing on it?
Take the memory card
Take it out, blow on it.
Yeah, it worked. It used to work.
I remember those days.
We all know that I'm the oldest person in this group. I've been buying Square games and Enix games since like '86. So I had original Final Fantasy when it came out. The moment Dragon Quest came out, I had it, and I was playing the hell out of them.
Oh, I remember as a wee young child.
Yep, still got mine too.
Digging out my mother's Commodore and like trying to figure out what the fuck to do with that thing.
Oh God, I had a Commodore. I had one of those. I was very lucky. My mom was not a wealthy person by any stretch of the imagination, but my uncle was, and he would give me all of his old PCs. He would give me every time he got a new game system, he would ship me down his old one. So I had secondhand all these really cool things growing up that I got to play with.
See, I'm about to make everybody hate me again because my favorite Final Fantasy that I grew up with was 9, and I didn't really like 7. Although, to be fair, that's because I tried to play it on 3 separate occasions, and after the 3rd time my memory card corrupted my game save, I was like, nope. Nope.
Yeah.
7 is
Not
a
worth
very
the trouble.
different RPG.
It really
Play
is.
Final Fantasy.
At all? Wow.
Not anymore.
Impressive.
I'm a buyer, bro.
6 will always be my favorite. Always.
Oh,
That-
5.
5 was good. 6's storyline is, without a doubt, the best storyline. 4 was good. Don't get me wrong. I loved 4 too, but the diverging characters going off in different directions and the opera scene just sold it to me.
Me too.
The opera scene is always where I stop.
Oh my god!
You could not handle the opera?
Like 5 different times I've gotten to the opera scene and I'm like, I think I'm like climbing on the rafters above it during something, and I'm like, I'm not having fun right now, and I stop playing. I've done that like 5 times.
Oh my god! The moment you get to the end of it, you fall down onto the stage and you have to fight the octopus, and you're part of it. It was so good. What? Yeah.
Yeah. One quick thing, because you showed combat, so I need to remind you of the days when you could buy.
Yeah, go over this way.
For only.
Yes. Yes, I remember. I had that book.
This is how I learned the English language. I taught myself to read basically by this book when I was 5 years old. So.
Oh wow, that's very impressive.
For me, it was when you didn't have enough money to buy the actual game, you bought the strategy guide instead, so that you at least felt kind of like,
oh,
you know,
yeah.
That's so very, very sad.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the new poor kid equivalent of like when you can't afford the game, you watch the playthrough online.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Well, on that very depressing note, let's talk about the video battle on day 4 or day 3, because that for me that was a lot of fun.
Lord, I was in a bad way in that battle.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that battle. I really wanted it to be like, oh shit, all of our friends are captured and are about to die. What are we gonna do? And that's really what I was aiming for. Because
we're gonna beat the shit out of a bunch of cultists. Is what we're gonna do.
Were any of us friends with those kids?
Not really. You all hated it. No, Cordelia was not. It was the ghost hunting kids.
What? Yeah, I was like, I don't think any of us liked the ghost hunting kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I say friends loosely.
I say I never interacted with them. They were mean to you. Like
they weren't even mean to her. That's the funny thing.
I was mean to them.
Oh no, I didn't say it was unjustified.
My favorite thing about that when you were at the ghost hunting club was when Jasmine was like, I came down here to make fun of them and I had to see this because she saw the video of the ghost and she got all freaked out.
Oh yeah.
So now I can't make fun of them anymore because it's real.
Yeah, so
I think that fight was when we really saw that David was probably the most traditional superhero out of all of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
If anyone's actually gonna be like a hero's hero, it's David.
I would say that out of the entire group, David definitely. We already confirmed he had the most kills, but like he was that character that when he started playing, he was definitely like, oh, this is just a nerdy kid that's obsessed with school. He's not going to function well in combat, and then it was like a light switch flipped, and he became very, very successful in combat.
Yeah.
He also had the most sound moral compass.
Yeah. Well, the instant, like when you gave us level 2, and I took Adept of Magic, that gave me, for as short as combat is in this game, effectively infinite mana.
Yeah, that's fair.
I had 24 out of 15 according to this character sheet.
Wow.
How? Jeez.
Yeah, at that point, that really kind of pushed you over the edge, and that's what allowed you to just consecutively spam explosions.
That's when I was able to go, I literally do not care about this stat, fireballs.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, that's it for day 3. I just realized it is 8:26, so why don't we go ahead and take a 10-minute break? That way we can all stand up, move around a little bit, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the last 2 days of the module, and then we'll talk a little bit about the rules and all that stuff. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
Shit. I
Hi, everybody. We are back. We're talking Magi-Knights with our Nighty-Knights, the stars of our show, and the creators of Magi-Knights, Derek and Kira Salji. So when we took a break, we were talking about day 3 of the week where you all played. Now, day 4, that's kind of when things started getting a little weird. Lacey feigned sickness. You all saw her being escorted to the nurse at the beginning of the day, but you never really saw her after that point. Instead, your group went to the bookstore, Ray Ray's Ray Ray's Occult Bookstore. That's what it was, Ray's Occult Bookstore. Which for me, I have to reference Ghostbusters.
I was going to say that's a Ghostbuster.
100%. Ray's Occult. So that I said Ray was Unisong's grandfather, and he owned the bookstore, and that's who Daryl was supposed to be working for. But then he got detention.
Never wound up doing it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's the one thing we didn't talk about in day 3. That's when Daryl went and sucker punched Mark by kicking him in the nuts.
I was gonna say,
Honestly,
wasn't any punching involved. It was straight to the nuts.
Yeah, sucker kick to the nuts. And dude, I just rolled like shit that entire encounter. It was ridiculous. I loved it. But on day 4, Lacey was gone. You all kind of split off again. Daryl was in detention, of course. But those of you who went to the bookstore, that's when you found out about Levi, Yuna's friend. She kept talking on the phone with him, if you all remember, and you tried listening in a couple times. But eventually, you figured out that her friend Levi was another dude who was dating Lacey. And he just kind of pieced out. And so you all started looking for him about the same time Yuna was looking for him. And you found him at, what did I call it? The Rowena Oasis Lounge. Because my group was currently in a place called Rowena. And it's in the desert. So it's an oasis, of course. So that's why I named it that thing. And we're at my 2 groups at that point were actually in a crossover event in the desert city. Half of them were fighting in a gladiator tournament. Half of them were doing a vault heist. So of course I had to bring that up. But that's about the point that your group got really, really focused on reflection and mirrors, if you remember that.
I remember.
Because he just kind of dove into a pool, and Jasmine dove in after him.
I tried to stop the kid. I think I just rolled bad athletics roll to actually tackle him up there.
Yeah, you did. You tried to tackle him, and it ended up just going in with him, and he disappeared. And that's the point that you all started getting really focused on the mirror thing. But he straight up disappeared. You all saw it, and that's really, I feel like that's the point you started really focusing on Lacey.
Yeah, probably. Sounds about right.
But what were your thoughts about the mirrors? Like, where were you kind of going with that when you really started focusing on that? That's my question.
Obviously, there was a mirror dimension thing that we were supposed to go into so that we could have an interdimensional battle in a mirror world.
Honestly, yeah. And I was like, if she is getting these boys through reflective surfaces, clearly there's an in-between space that we probably can access. And we got there eventually. It's just that we almost immediately took psychic damage for going.
Yeah. So, obviously, nothing really in the module about this subject. But I was thinking to myself, okay, you're rolling really well. I want to give you something. I want to give you some information, and that's when I started describing the basement where these boys were being held. They were all obviously, now they were being held in Lacey's basement by Chrysanthemum. and they're being pulled through the mirrors. But once she's disconnected from the mirror, that was really kind of it. But you all really wanted something, so I was like, okay, I'm going to describe it. I'm going to get you all focused on a student and on a residential place. But then I was also like, but something has to happen, right? Like, someone as powerful as Chrysanthemum, she knows that you're who you are. She knows what you're doing. She's been seeing it ever since Daryl put that ring on. So what am I going to do with this? Well, let's slash the connection. Let's fuck them up. So I just she reached out with those scissor hands and snip, connection severed. Fuck you all, psychic damage.
No, not all of us. I roll Hollow Knights every day.
That's true. But really, that was definitely the point that you all kind of started focusing on her, and you started trying to really find her. But at that point, like she was already untrusting of everybody. She was sneaking around. She had hid from school. So the only opportunity you ever would have had was going back to the game store. That was really kind of it. After that point, unless you went to the game store or the toy store, those were your only two real opportunities at that point. Because she was being corrupted by Chrysanthemum. She was definitely untrusting of everyone. Now, if you fucked with her, that would have been the worst thing. Because there was a few opportunities where you could have just stolen things from her, or if you could have found her book. She had a book that she left in the library, and it had a picture of her father and her in it. And so you could have started screwing with her with those things too, which could have actually gone really, really bad. Because if you just stole these things and she knew about it, she would go from distrusting you to outright hating you. That would have been.
I would have done it if I found the shit.
You don't think so?
I would have loved to see that. Relia gets really nasty. So
I was really tempted to just let you go into the mirror, into the basement, and fight her right then and there.
Just fully a fist fight. That would have been iconic.
I was really close to it. If there's ways that I run a module that I'm doing as a miniseries, and there's ways that I run a homebrew campaign, and I'm a lot more let the players decide where to go, and I'll just guide it from there for the homebrew games. So if this was a homebrew, I probably would have let you go through there and fight her right then and there, which she just would have dominated you. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
Yeah.
But my goal was, I'm going to hit every day in the book. I'm going to hit every single plot point in the module and actually get to show all those fun things. So that's really why I wanted. That's the main reason why I said, you know what? I'll give you a hint. I'll point you the way to go, but I want you to do day 5. And you did.
Yeah, we got there because during night 4, that was the night we spent all night arguing about where this girl lived.
That's true. You actually went back to the points where you had seen Levi disappear and you had seen Corey disappear. And you split off into two sides, and that's how you were able to establish the connection to see the basement. But almost immediately afterwards, that's when Corey showed up and started heckling you.
Yep.
And now that one from...
He was a jerk.
What's that? He was a jerk?
He was a jerk.
Now, I like the way y'all do the chase scenes. How, because I'm a big fan of doing group skill challenges. Especially at lower levels in campaigns, because at high levels, 90% of the time you're rolling over a 20 anyway, so who gives a fuck? But at those low levels, skill challenges are amazing because you can do things mechanically, but you can also do things story-wise based on the roles you made. So the fact that you use them all the time in a lot of the different scenarios, I absolutely love about that. So you did, and somehow David, defying all the odds, you managed to catch him.
The thing he is absolutely not designed to do.
Yeah.
I'd just like to think he was too big-brained and he knew where he was going.
He was able to dodge out of the way of all the things.
We could have done it that way, but instead we narrated him being way too athletic.
Actually, I was trying to narrate him not being athletic, but more being like just somehow managing to get that perfect moment where you got around the obstacle, and everyone's like, "Holy shit, that actually happened!"
In my head, David's just like one of those kids who are like, you're never going to be able on the football team, but you probably should run across country.
It's years of running away from bullies that made him so fast. He's not.
He used trigonometry to get over all those obstacles.
Yeah.
The Heartstopper effect, the Charlie Dayspring Heartstopper effect. Probably shouldn't play rugby, but he's the fastest boy in school.
Low key, like for a full campaign for Magi-Knights, I think I want to lean into the Ghost Hunter dudes, the paranormal seekers a little bit.
No.
No,
yeah.
Use the real name.
What's their Brad and Chad?
Yell at Ghost Bros.
Ghost Bros.
The Yell at Ghost Bros.
The Yell at Ghost Bros. Yeah, what's because there is in real life ghost chasers, and my wife makes fun of them all the time, the dudes that go into a thing and then try to piss off the ghost by just yelling at them. And
ghost hunters. That's what I was kind of trying to reference.
Was it Ghost Hunters? I thought it was a different group. Like
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
They all have the same name.
They all have, yeah.
Yeah, like it is the same thing.
Most of the time, they're not even trying to piss off the ghosts. They're like, "This place is haunted by demons. I'm gonna try and piss off a demon." And I'm like, that's a great way to get an attachment up the butt. Just saying.
Like, by piss off demon, they mean we'll yell in this hallway at the slightest hint of movement, even if nothing is moving. Like. They could be quiet as a church mouse. Nothing going on. Like, did you feel that? I feel a presence.
I just want the Steve Irwin style demon hunter. Oh, that demon's a beauty. Now let's see if we can really piss it off.
I'm going to stick my thumb up his ass. So I haven't watched a lot of those ghost shows. My wife was a little bit infatuated with them in the early 2000s when they first came out. So I've seen a few, but the only one of the... Oh my
god, I totally went through a Paranormal State phase. Holy shit. Does anybody remember that A&E show?
No.
Paranormal State. It was like this club based out of Penn State University. And they would go to these hauntings, and there was one that it was like this girl was possessed and stuff. It was a whole thing. They even had Ed and Lorraine Warren, or at least Lorraine Warren, on the show.
Wow.
Because she was still alive at that point. But yeah, no, went through a whole phase.
The only thing I remember about like Ghost Adventures is they went to a castle one time and they started yelling, and then the one guy goes, "I'm going to try to piss this ghost off and see if I can get a real reading," and starts just screaming and being really belligerent, and I'm just watching and I'm like, dude, what's that actually going to do? Nothing.
Now I know what kind of drunk you are, and I'm going to stay far away from you.
Yeah.
I think because of those shows, it solidified my belief that the afterlife doesn't exist.
I mean, hey, can you be any more cis white guy right now? Like any, please? Really? No? Okay. Yeah.
That One of my friends watches that show unironically as if it was scary. I'm like, how do you even manage?
Oh, I would
How
never
do you
look that person
even
in the eye.
manage to convince yourself this is scary? These are like a couple of dorks.
Yeah.
In the-
Oh yeah, dude. I grew up in the Midwest satanic panic. Nothing phases me anymore. It's just like, okay, whatever. What else did we do on day 4 other than interacting with Corey? Oh yeah, you argued for like 2 hours in a phone booth. That's right.
Yeah, that was
Forgot
fun.
about that.
Those last 2 days, we just bickered back and forth. Best
You truly saw how these characters, how honestly, the Watcher truly picked almost a random group of kids, and that was a bad idea.
Oh my god. Yeah, the Wanderer definitely did get the most random group of kids together.
You guys aren't the only ones rolling dice, okay?
Definitely.
What is like I tried my best. I was like, cause it was Corey. It was like David and Jasmine raping on each other's nerves, and we were all getting irritated about somebody. Like I forget your character's name, but the obsession with Lacey. We were just like, let it go, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
really, when it comes to finding characters for stuff like this, you got to toe that line between like you can't have them too good, otherwise they like won't be able to do what they need to do, or they might snap or something. But you can't have them too evil either, because then they'll just turn coat and do bad stuff. So you got to get that like gray area.
Yeah.
I do definitely regret the amount of time that we spent on that argument.
I know. It was so funny.
It was funny, but I think it made a bad watching experience because it was just too much.
See, that's where I
Yeah,
disagree. Like, for me, listening to streams where they're just bicker for 30 minutes about what they're going to do and then it fails spectacularly is fun for me. I think it's hilarious. Because, like, so as I'm listening to this whole thing, I'm like, cool, hey, your 3 hours, spend them however you want. But then you're like, okay, we're going to look in the phone book. Okay, cool. How are you going to do that? Well, we're going to look up her name. What's her last name? What's her mom's name? Where does she live?
These days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and every time I was like, let's just break into somewhere and figure this out. They're like, we can't break into places where Magi-Knights. And I'm like, I never got that rule.
It's not a rule. It's really not a rule.
It's not because we're Magi-Knights we can't break into places. It's because it's wrong.
The moral compass of this group.
Breaking into the school.
The moral compass of this group is hilarious. It really is.
100%.
But so eventually you did get the good idea. Go to school the next day, break into the office, or find a way into the office and get her address. Which, yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. And of course, that's when you made it to day 5. You found out where she lived, and the plan was to head over. Now, Mike, I'm curious. What do you think? What were you expecting to be there once you arrived?
In character or out of character?
Yes.
Okay, out of character, I was expecting pretty much what we got. It's the final day, it's the last session, it's a big boss fight.
Sure.
In character, I think David was expecting, like, we go in and maybe there's, like, some cultist memorabilia, there's some stuff that links her to it, but nothing too terribly drastic. You know, it's the final evidence that he would have needed to say, yes, okay, Lacey is evil. Like...
And I feel like some of you wanted Lacey to be actually evil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Raise hand if you wanted Lacey to be evil. Oh, come on. Come on. I know it was more than just him.
Yeah.
There you go. You wanted her to be evil. And
That wasn't crazy.
and honestly, that's not a bad thought. Like, if you just think about media in general and the way stories are written, that was a 100% valid assumption that she was just evil and using her powers to hook up with dudes and fuck with people, and there's a cult around her. That's a very valid idea. So I mean, it could have been.
That's where the story led. In a very like, if you played the tropes completely straight, that's where it led.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it turned out to be a little twist. No, poor innocent Lacey. She just was lonely and kind of sad and like I know like I've said before, the way I played my playthrough, I was more the thinking, oh, some dude is a cultist. He's obsessed with her, so he's fucking with all these kids, making them insane and screwing with them, and that's why all these kids keep getting sick because he wants her, and so he's possessing or poisoning or whatever all these people who got sick. That was my mindset the entire playthrough.
Way different.
That's a lot.
Before.
Yeah. That's such a generous read. That's such a generous read.
But you never know. Like whenever I play a game the first time through, I think about, okay, I'm a writer. I do this shit for a living. How would I write this story? And that could have been something too that I would have written. It's just a obsessed cultist who wants a girlfriend but can't because she's hooking up with everyone else. So he's taking them out one by one until he's the only one left. And that's definitely a valid story. But the same thing is she's evil, she's possessed, or she's possessing everybody else. She's the main bad guy. That's 100% valid too. All of these scenarios could have easily been what this was. And there's no way to know unless you investigate, unless you put in the time, unless you focus and pick up that thing, that tiny little thing at the very beginning. That's kind of what makes it fun. But eventually, you did. You made it to Lacey's house. And of course, see, when I set up this battle, I had a few thoughts in my mind. Number one, I want to put a few dynamic objects out there. But then in the middle of battle, I forgot to mention them. Of course.
Oh, no.
But you latched on to one of them immediately. The car.
Tried to use the car. I just rolled badly.
Yep. You rolled badly, and they were rolling really well on their perception checks, because they were just on the other side of the house. You knew they were there. You knew they were doing something, because that crystal was raising up the entire time. And the funny thing is, I had the exact same scenario when I played my playthrough, is there was a car there. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go get in that car. I'm going to grab the keys from it, and I'm going to zoom around and try to hit people. And I did. I did actually hit a few cultists with it.
I feel like it would have been such a fitting character moment if that happened.
Yeah.
Dude, if you would have rolled well, it would have been yours. I wanted it for you. I wanted it for you so bad. I really did. I'm not gonna lie. But it happens, and it actually gave the bad guys the moment they needed. Y'all arguing about the car and trying to fuck with the car gave them the time they needed to hear you. At which point, I wanted Corey to just come around and start, talking shit and taunting you a little bit, which gave Chrysanthemum time to get up onto the roof of the house and start messing with you all from there. So that was kind of my mindset when you all approached that battle. Was I wanted to waylay you as long as I possibly could, so that they would have advantage on the battle. So what did I do? I put a car in front of you.
Fair.
You distracted us with a random shiny object.
And it works.
It works. Works every single time.
He got me with my weakness. He got me with my greatest weakness, a vehicle.
It's that MacGuffin, that MacGuffin's always bright and shiny, and you want to go near it. You always want to go near it. Ignore the MacGuffin. That's today's moral. But you know what? You beat it. You actually did beat Chrysanthemum. You beat her when she had, everything was stacked against you for this battle. She had every single kid she needed. She had Lacey there. She had more than enough cultists, and they were getting ready to summon more creatures. So, like, when you approach the battle, you approach them as the most difficult it could have possibly been.
Well, there was one more thing that could have made it more difficult. If she had a Magi-Knight.
That's true. That is true. No, that is true. If one of you would have kissed her, it would have been a little bit tougher.
Fair. I feel like specifically if David kissed her, we would have been fucked.
What? It's the same. Because it's the same like fake Magi-Knight, regardless of any of us, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been literally anybody. And on that second day when you had her walk you home, I thought there might have been something. I was kind of waiting for it, but then David is...
Little did you know, I have not made a character who is not A-spec in like a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really what saved you in that moment. Because I knew you, and I knew you at least a little bit, and I knew the way you were playing your character, so like I was fairly certain it wasn't going to happen. But in the back of my mind, I was like, can I get him to kiss her? Can I figure out a way to make it happen? I really want this to happen. I really want him at least to show interest. But it's like, no, okay, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm home. Bye.
Yep. Yeah.
Bye. Don't talk to me.
Look, outside there's just a person and that's social, but inside there's video games. So I'm gonna go.
And that's valid. And that asexualness, that more interest in other stuff is really what saved you in that encounter.
There's also that mechanic where you can convince Lacey to use her, just basically fight against Relia, kind of using just sheer willpower. And the more social points that you've gained with her, the more damage she deals, and it's considered true damage, which means it bypasses any resistances. And so not many players figure that out, relying on Lacey in the battle to turn against this monstrosity that's taken over her life, taken over her doll, and, completely messed up everything that she thought she knew about love and relationships. But it significantly tilts the balance of the battle, I think, in the favor of the players if they piece it together.
And if they have enough social points, that's the biggest trick.
That's a big thing.
Because I don't think anybody had more than like 2 or 3 social points with Lacey.
I think I had 1.
I got around 4. I got around 4 with Cordelia after dumping that milk on her.
Yep. You had it with Cordelia, yeah, but nobody really interacted with Lacey. I think when at the end of the game, that last day, because on day 4 you have an opportunity. If Lacey likes you enough, she will message you and ask you to come meet her at night, and you would go to her house and talk to her, and she would kind of tell you, hey, my stuffed rabbit is talking to me, she's telling me to do these things, she's collecting these dolls, she's making me go get them, and you would have heard a whole big thing about that. But you had to have at least a handful of points with Lacey. If you have a lot of them and she is actually attracted to you, then it could go even farther than that. And that's what my character did when I did my playthrough, is he had just enough that she reached out to him, he showed up, he started talking about it, but my character, being the tsundere asshole that he was, he stole the fucking rabbit.
Oh no!
So you got the worst.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah.
The worst Lacey doll.
I got the worst thing possible. I got the last doll that she had. I got that from her, but I also stole the rabbit. And so her at the same time, Mark Polster showed up, because he's supposed to do that on day 4. He shows up, and if someone else is there, there's an opportunity to stop him from kissing her. But if not, he goes in and kisses her. Well, I was like, the moment he showed up, I'm using this as a distraction. I ran over, I grabbed the rabbit, I took off, and they actually chased me in his car. And I had to do a chase scene running away while throwing, because there was like this kid in the group who was playing a ninja type character for some reason, and he gave me like some shuriken or something like that. So I was a high dex character. My character that when I built him intelligence based. I built him as an archer, so I used this was before guns came out, so I was using the archer stats as a gun, and I did poison, derivative of fire, as my element. So I was just basically an assassin that hung out from back and was super fast. So I snatched the rabbit. I was running. I was throwing shuriken at his tires as I was also jumping over fences and shit like that to get away.
I love it.
So of course, I got the worst possible outcome. -10 immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is a way for her just to, if she does invite you out, she will offer you that doll. She'll be like, I don't know what to do with this. I know this is evil. Thing we should do. And
So you just had to wait.
You do have this preemptive strike against her. Potentially, if you played your cards right, to knock a doll out of the equation.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we
I was just
have anybody destroy it. We had people take it, but then it would be stolen back because they didn't destroy it.
So I put it in my father's family safe and locked it through the night, so I was able to hold on to it. The next day, I soaked the rabbit in kerosene, and I left a message for Lacey to come meet me. And while everyone else was at her house, then I invited Lacey to come meet me, and I tried to set the thing on fire. I failed. Unfortunately. I tried. I lit a lighter, I threw it, and I rolled like a 2 or something stupid like that. And so, yeah, I missed completely, and so my character ended up arriving late, and we all got wiped out because it was just 3 of us playing. Yeah.
Oh, you're that group.
Yeah, I was that group. 3 of us made it to the end. The others dropped out. I was trying to screw with Lacey the whole time. Once I realized that it was her doll, I was like, I'm going to just light this thing on fire. I'm going to try to break this doll. But we were just wiped out. Completely wiped out.
And everybody judged me for being me.
Yeah, so not only were there only 3 of you, but you legitimately did everything wrong to make it the most pissed off hardest encounter possible.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she started the game with like the worst possible Lacey doll and like Blood Fury immediately or something like that. It was insane. Oh yeah, I went hardcore. I did a pivot 180 and just went hardcore. Oh no, she's evil. Okay, I gotta deal with this doll.
Well, actually, that was a good session to learn about too, though, because it kind of pushed us to develop the Magi Squire mechanics, so that when people drop out, you do have these Magi-Knights in training, I guess you want to call them, the Magi Squires. So you guys are kind of mentors over, and so
we could have had
that happen, really kind of push that up on our to-do list, being like, no, this needs to get done like ASAP.
Yeah, I legit So the reason I had 6 people play at the beginning of the game is because odds are there's at least a 70% chance one of them, possibly 2 of them, will drop out by the end of the thing. If you're getting random people, that's just the odds. So that's why I always start with 6 and see what happens. We only lost 1. Some people would call out a session. That happens. Real life happens, but for the most part, we've kept the 5 core players from the beginning of the game all the way through, which is awesome. Well done. Thank you very much.
One person who drops out is playing my brother.
Yeah.
He went back to Japan.
Well, it was kind of like in Happy Days when Richie's brother goes upstairs at the end of the season and never comes back down ever again.
Oh my god, the same thing happens in Family Matters when the youngest sister goes up the stairs, goes to her room, and just never comes back down.
Yeah, just that's it. And that's kind of how we did it. Like, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I understand, real life happens. So, Daryl's brother is just gone. He had a bad day and is sick all week. Whatever.
Yeah, we're in a week. We were there a week. I was like, it could have fully just been like out with the flu.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's kind
And
of
he had to
it.
go back to Japan to cure.
Yeah, he had to go back to Japan.
He never lived in Japan, though.
Oh, that's right. No, he was the English one.
Yeah. That's why I was the foreigner, because I came from Japan.
He had to go back to England.
But that was it. That was the end of the 5 days.
Yep.
You defeated Chrysanthemum. You let Lacey keep her memories, which it's entirely plausible to just say, nope, she can't remember anything, and she becomes a background character that nobody talks about. But you kept her as your friend and confident.
She earned it.
I liked the idea of having a friend, and I also liked the idea that, if there was ever a thing where they wanted to do a continuation, it's like, well, Power Rangers had a 6th Ranger.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lacey's the 6th Magi-Knight.
Heck yeah,
But
that could be possible.
Also, how can you learn from your mistakes if your memory is wiped of ever making them?
Oh, that's
I
valid.
think that's something we said too. And like, if she'll just go back to feeling like she's a lady and make another deal with the first thing that offers her one, if she
Oh yeah, definitely. And then
did this again.
So I heard Dasonie say something, and I don't know. Oh,
I was gonna say there's a reason she almost won the poll on the server. So
Oh yeah.
as the NPC winner. So yeah, people do like her, and they usually. I don't think we've had a group yet wipe her memory. I think
No?
the guilt is too
Really?
much for anyone to bear because so much. Like, cut her some slack. So
probably.
Not so much guilt. It's this was a really bad thing. So like maybe don't just accept attention from an entity you know nothing about, because yes, you might be starved for attention, but not everyone who's going to pay you the attention you want is good.
Yeah.
it's very true.
That is true.
Don't be dumb.
Until it's too late. So.
Unfortunately, teenager.
Yeah, teenagers.
I definitely got into many a car because I needed attention.
There you go.
Okay. Well, that was kind of it for Echo from the Stars. It's left open because the two of you, Derek and Kira, you're writing more adventures, and there's gonna the plan is for more modules to be released. I think it's called the Doombringer Saga. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
The entire set, all 10 episodes, right? I think we said there's going to be 10 episodes and then 3 episodes per story arc. And then all collectively, there'll be the Doombringer Saga.
Nice. Very cool.
It's where we're gonna get the other 5 people that were on the poll.
Oh yeah, the rest of the poll from the.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mean the NPCs you didn't recognize? Is that what you mean?
Oh, like the evil demon monster things.
Oh yes. Yeah, that's
Like
they're
Reaping
Oh, yeah.
Skinwalker and Disfigured Seamstress.
yes, they're definitely all gonna
Yeah.
come up at some point.
Yep, they're all coming. We did introduce a lot just so that, if people want to make their own scenario, they do have some stat blocks to refer to for that reputation level range. We
Okay.
added a section on how to create your own hordes, how to create your own outsiders, so that'll help the community kind of make up their own creatures, which we're super excited to see. In the future, we're really trying to push the community to, promote their own materials for scenarios. So that's kind of something we're going to look to in the future, kind of doing like a DM's Guild kind of thing, but a much better, less restrictive kind of avenue and less restrictive kind of licensing agreement. Because I don't know if you've read the DM's Guild licensing
bad.
agreement. When you post things on there, it's pretty. They basically
It's
own
very
everything,
bad.
and that's
Yeah.
one trap we almost fell into. So
I think you're the one that told me about it.
class.
Yeah,
So
probably.
Yeah.
Their agreement basically says like everything that you put on DM's Guild that is not already owned by another IP is ours now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's insane. So not going that route, but those of you who know me well enough know I write most of my own shit. So there's a definite 100% chance that I'm probably going to write some things along this line.
Can't wait.
I love that.
I have a question about that final fight, by the way.
Sure.
This is much more of a hypothetical for Derek and Kira. Is it possible to make that fight harder by setting Lacey up with one of the NPCs and giving her a fifth person?
Now, I will remind you, like, normally when you play through this module, you fight that battle at level 1. I specifically gave you level 2 because I wanted you to experience a level up, because this is a mini-series, you know? But normally you'd be fighting that at level 1.
Oh, I'm not saying this is a good idea. I'm just saying, like...
Oh, plausibility?
Can you very early on go, wow, Lacey has absolutely fucking horrible taste in men. Have you met my friend Skylar?
That's an interesting thought.
Skylar up to failure.
You could basically facilitate the, I don't know what you want to call it, reunification of Mark and Lacey. I don't think anyone's ever gone that route. Usually he pisses people off too much.
Yeah.
I think he would just be, that's basically the fall gap is. If Magi-Knight doesn't win her interest, win her attention, ultimately Relia pulls Mark and Lacey together, which is not something maybe Lacey wants, but at that point...
Lacey is not a construction worker. She does not need another tool.
I guess if you set her up with somebody, it would just take Mark out of the picture, so it'd still be the same number.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Unless it went beyond the 5 days, because the fact that it happens in 5 days and like most of her interactions with the NPCs happened off screen before those 5 days, it does kind of limit how many people she can interact with. Now, technically, in those 2 days, could she have met another person, interacted with them? You could have pushed them in that direction those first 2 days. I'd say maybe, yeah. Like if you found an NPC and after that first fight you pushed him in that direction towards her, could she have had a fifth one? Maybe.
Okay.
She'd have to kiss 2 guys though, because it would take Mark out. So.
New goal for next game. We need to get Lacey to smooch as many people as possible. in 5 days.
Lacey in her hot girl summer era.
And just create the absolute worst boss fight possible, both from a narrative standpoint and also an action economy one.
So you'll set up one of those kissing booths for charity.
There you go.
I mean, there's technically there's 9 different dial stat blocks in this. But besides the 4, there's variations on Lacey's dial. There's also the Solus dial, which could be literally anybody. Then there's the Magi-Knight dial, so you can have a lot of fun if you really want to. Not to mention, like
Lacey to kiss another boring girl. So
then it would just be a Solus dial, and you would give them some abilities, kind of comparatively. I think
if you go crazy, I would just add lots and lots of dolls, and then extra people and runes that you would have to drag out. That you would never get through. Basically, she would have so much protection.
Mm-hmm.
That
would be the final boss.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, here's my question: since our group never got a chance to go into the toy store or deal with any of that, what has other groups encountered when they went down into the toy store?
I'm gonna leave that to you.
Okay. Well, we only had one group that actually went into the toy store, and they have to figure out that there's like a back room where the toy store owner makes the dolls, and it's only for like VIP customers who order them on special order. And so once they discover that, he's not super open about it. They have to kind of persuade him to talk about it. But he tells about how is it dreams? Is that what it was? I can't remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, he keeps having dreams every night about
I think so.
what kind of doll he should make, and then he just can't stop thinking about it when he wakes up until he makes the doll. And so that's how he gets the idea to make each of the boys into dolls. And then he'll
Koi is the one who drops off the financial donation, and then Lacey is the one who picks up the package.
Mhm.
yeah, and then he'll realize, how did we say that? I can't remember. There's some way that he thinks he should give it to Lacey, and he gets paid for it, so he's okay with making it, and Koi gives him the money.
And that's actually why you run into him that first night. He's out there making his, little envelope delivery full of cash, and
Oh, yeah.
you don't really tie it in because who's gonna think, oh, this guy has a bunch of cash I need to worry about? They don't frisk him. He's like, hey, don't look at me. Let's play it cool. But I do want to reiterate that this is basically the public draft version, beta play testing, if you will, of this scenario. We are going to put it together, and the next big scenario release we have, it will be episodes 1, 2, and 3 to finish that first full story arc, and they'll be all in one book.
That's eventually, right?
Yeah, eventually.
At first, they'll be separate, I think.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure out the details on that, but regardless, this is not a final product. That's why we love hearing feedback from you guys, from the match keepers, i.e., game masters, and then the players. We're always kind of working our best to grow the story, build, maybe potential plot holes or things people feel like, oh, I would have loved if I could have just snuck into her locker or something and found something cool and tie in more mystery. So this is definitely not a finished product. We've already started working on getting some artwork for Mark, and as you can see on the server, we've gotten artwork for Levi, and so we're just going to keep rolling with the artwork. And
we want some for the dolls too.
Definitely the dolls. The dolls need some.
Oh, yeah.
We would also probably want like a really nice rendition of Relia. We really enjoy the one we have, but my favorite monster guy, what's his name? Dave. Just an amazing guy, so we might have him or someone else, redo it just because their talent is just incredible. So.
Sure. So when I did my dolls for my tokens, basically I just went on a copyright-free place and found some basic-looking dolls and kind of clipped it from there to make mine, because I was like, "Fuck, I really want dolls. How am I going to make this work?" And that's kind of how it did. So kind of going from what you were just talking about, Derek, as far as like feedback and that sort of thing. We've talked a lot about the campaign so far and the module. Let's talk a little bit about the rules and the differences between those of us who play 5e or those of us who play other TTRPGs and this system here. So my first question to all of our players here: what aspect about the Magi-Knights did you enjoy the most? What was it? Character building? Was it the way combat or the way the day works? What would you say for you the biggest your favorite aspect of Magi-Knights? And rule system itself, kind of
the school system.
School system.
Like the rules for going to classes, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a lot of fun. I like the breakdown between the two, where during the day you're just kind of trying to deal with the day and the stress of it, and actually making it through the end of the day unscathed. That in and of itself is a mechanic, as Daryl learned very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of inspiration from, of course, Sailor Moon, Power Rangers, watching those, kids just go through their day. Sometimes they're able to sneak out, during the middle of the day. I don't know how they do it. But we thought, especially because we want that kind of Lovecraftian horror and, the fear of the night and the dark time and, everybody, Dunwich style, runs into their houses, locks the doors, blinds, for the windows, everything. So it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. How about the rest of you? Just feel free to shout out.
I enjoy. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I enjoyed a lot of the, I guess, narrative customization that you can put into character creation. Like, you don't have explicit weapons. You have instrument, big weapon, magic weapon, ranged weapon, gun. Like, and you can kind of do what you want with it. Same with elements, where in something like D&D or Pathfinder, spells would have like some very explicit flavor text in them. Whereas you go, no, this is a darkness beam. What does that mean to you? That's very cool from a narrative standpoint to be able to customize that. So that we had 3 void players that all had very different things.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of the reason why I allowed everybody to be the same element, or at least 3 of you to be the same element, because I wanted to see, hey, you can take the same thing and do very vastly different characters from it. Okay, I like that. How about you, Alyssa? You got any? What was your favorite aspect of it?
I really liked the opportunity, the investigation / role playing, because like during lunches or the investigation phase or the free time phase or whatever, like there was just so much freedom to just kind of either do your own thing or spend the time, like, I don't know, I really liked that there's a lot of space to, whether you're exploring the module or just exploring the character that you built, that there's that space to be able to do that. Because a lot of, I don't know, with our Monday night D&D group, like we're very like point A, point B, straight line there. Like we don't do a lot of like wavering or side quests, or like
your side quests tend to turn to main quests a lot of times.
And I really like that, how like the system, how the day phase, night phase, all of those, it's built with that space in it to be able to do those things. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's really great to hear. Thank you. And one of the funnest things I got to experience as a Magic Keeper was watching my players, in D&D, never split the party, no matter what. And in this, it's Lapis City. It's the sun's out. We're safe. We're all safe. We can do what we want.
Every opportunity to split, we're all going in our own direction.
Oh yeah. And you did it constantly. Which is great for players, and from a narrative standpoint, it's awesome for your poor suffering DM who has to micromanage 5 different groups at the same time. It's an interesting challenge. I love a challenge, so I never mind. But yeah, definitely. Okay, Dasonie, how about you? What was your favorite aspect of Magi-Knights?
I think that, for me, my favorite thing as playing through, my favorite thing was probably the system that separated your stats between your Magi-Knight form and your person form. It felt very fun to me because it felt very fun to me to play in between it. Like the idea of like, okay, you have these stats are like the ones you use every day, your base stat. But this is all the things that come with you when you're being a student, and all the things that come with you when you're being a Magi-Knight. And I think like that separation is really
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Great. Yeah, we tried really hard to separate that feeling. Like we wanted transformations to be just super special. When you speak that magical quote, you're much more than, of course, you were before, and you have all these tools and abilities at your disposal. So I'm really glad to hear that. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Jeff, how about you?
I'm trying to find. I actually was telling one of my siblings about it, because whenever I found out about it, I just basically pile drove through the book, just reading absolutely everything on it. And there was a couple of things that I was just like, oh man, that's actually the way you handle skill dogpiling
Yeah.
Which about the I think it's called mounting frustration. I'm like, oh man, that's a really clever way to handle that. I wish I would have thought of that forever ago.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot of out of things that like haven't already been brought up. I really agree with David that like the whole school phase and like the day phase is a really nice well designed system, but there's just a bunch of like little rules that I was reading through while I was going through the book that I'm just like, wow, that really simplifies things so I don't have to be like thinking about everything all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's one thing we tried really hard to do is streamline a few of the rules we thought were kind of redundant or overly complicated, like grappling. We just
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of grappling, even since 3.5.
Yeah.
So restraining condition, and that's it. So
Mhm.
That's fair. Well, with that in mind, let's kind of turn the tables on that. We've talked about what we really liked as far as the campaign and the rules. Let's talk about the things that we like. We didn't like, and I know, but Kira, we also remember this is a safe space. We're all friends here. We're all just kind of chatting about what we liked and didn't like, and it's never ever meant to target anybody or make anyone feel bad. This is more of a time for like, hey, I really enjoyed this part, but this thing here kind of frustrated me in the time. Which, as a GM, somebody who runs games all the time, I hear it fucking constantly. Oh, why didn't you do this, Matt? You could have done this way. Why are you doing your thing your way? God, this really frustrates me. Why can't I do this? And this is how I choose to run it.
Why didn't you let us work at the toy store, Matt?
Why? Why didn't I let you work at the toy store? How dare I? Because I didn't fucking think of it at the time. That's why. I low key, I kind of regret that. I wish I would have thought of that because that would have been an amazing thing.
We're both like, we work at Toys R Us. You'd be like, oh wait, there's a toy store in the game. We'd be like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Did you actually work at your job at any point?
Not once.
We
We did
had
not go to
no
work.
time
Not once.
to.
But yeah, there's the
I did
thing.
The first day.
You did the first day?
I went and worked, and then I met up with Jasmine and Iris at the mall.
There you go.
Oh, no,
so at
I
least
did
tell
A
you that.
shift after I totaled my car. I did A shift after I totaled my car because I was trying to
shift.
for a new one.
I'm 14 and thus can only work on weekends.
This is true, which we never got to.
Real quick before we get into this criticism, though, I just want to say, actually, I'm really excited for this part. 100%, I'm always just just constantly going over this game over and over. I've read through it so many times where it gets to the point where I start to not be able to see the flaws because I've read through it. This is like, I think she was saying it's a 4-year project now, right?
Oh yeah.
For one person to look at something.
Yeah. Sorry, never mind. Go ahead.
And also, the other thing I'll point out is the rule system we started when we started doing this stream, which I believe was like 2.1.
Mm-hmm.
So so we've gone through your group. The overall rules has gone through several iterations since we started, but since we were playing the system on the stream, we were like, we're going to follow it for the most part. Whenever somebody like corrects us or says, hey, this is the tweak we changed, I changed it on camera because it's like, well, yeah, absolutely, let's keep going with it. But the main thing was we were playing from 2.1, so also keep that in mind.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very excited for this feedback. So thanks.
So let's start at the person I went with last, which was Jeff.
Oh no.
If you don't want me to, I won't. But if you have something that like the one what would you say is the one thing that frustrated you more than anything else as far as the rules?
All right. So I have two things. One of them is mostly just me being me, and the other one I think could be a nice improvement. Maybe you've already changed this in most recent book edition of the book, but I think it would be really helpful to have in the spell description on the spell what if it's possible to what are the terms? It's like
extend, rush.
Extend, rush, or any of those things. I think
Yeah.
because there was a lot of back and forth going, like flipping between pages. I'm just like, oh, I have to go back here, but I have to go back down here.
Yeah.
So I
That-
think
that
that
is-
like
yeah.
it's a good idea to have like a general description of what that means. But it'd be really nice if in the spell it just says like, and be quickened or whatever it is.
That's
So
a good idea.
That's a great idea. That's actually first time we've heard that one, so thank you.
Yeah,
that was something that I thought of the entire time.
Hito, I know you have something you want to say about it as well. If you want to add into that.
Yeah, so there's actually a different 5e supplement that I'm gonna start playing soon. That's like a Naruto based one, and how they handle that is before the spell list they have like, okay, these are keywords and these are what these keywords mean, and then in each individual spell they have just a keyword line that's like of the traits that apply to it. So you wouldn't have to spell out on each spell like, this is what this does when quickened. You could have like the quickened thing up top and then just like in the spell whether it can be or not.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
Like verbal, thematic, or material component kind of like
Yeah.
how they have VSM for like 5e stuff, but like just like quickened or whatever, rushed or
Overcharged.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just have like a little glossary somewhere of all the terms, because while I was showing my brother, he's just like, there are so many bold words here that are probably like there's a definition somewhere.
I will second the glossary. This is something that I'm a big fan of. Anyone who's ever bothered to Google me and found my book has found that I also glossarize literally everything, because I make references all the time, and in my mind, it makes 1,000% sense. But if I hand this thing to my grandmother, she's going to look at it and go, oh, what the hell does that thing mean? I don't know what that term is. So glossaries are wonderful. And I'll just say even the better part about it, it increases your page count, which is important to some writers.
Yes, it's definitely on our list of to do. We're just waiting till the editing is done and actually till the layouts. I mean, we'll start making it before the layout, but we won't know the page numbers for anything until the layout is done. So we don't want to put it all in and then have to change it all again. But
oh, sure. Just things to think about. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely it'll be there.
Yeah.
But even now with the editor, he's kind of made some great points, adjusting names and terms, unbolding everything. That was a big thing. That was mostly something I did for myself, and I knew it was going to be that, but it was just so that I could keep track of where all the key terms were and such. But yeah.
I will say that me personally I love bolded terms.
Right. Yeah. Same. I actually, because I play so much Powered by the Apocalypse, I literally didn't notice. Because Powered by the Apocalypse bolds.
I didn't know that.
Every action that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. PBTA games love to bold. I think it's because they're the one, probably like the little bit of rules that they have. So like, we're gonna make sure they know what these are.
Right.
We have more, so
we have a lot more.
The way we're changing it is that when it's actually being defined on the page, it'll be bolded there, or if it's the first mention. But otherwise, it'll just be in capital letters. Well, not all caps, but the first letter. Of the
Okay. Now, here's one thing for me. The two of you, Derek and Kira, you have not seen my Roll20, so you wouldn't know this, but you've heard it. I have little handouts for like every rule that I thought would be pertinent to the game I was running, and I'm sure the two of you have both played on Roll20, so you know what I'm talking about. But for those who don't know, handouts are just a little thing that you can share with your players. You can either type the information in text, you can share pictures. It's basically the way to share like files and images and things like that with your players. Now, the way I did it is I would basically just screenshot your PDF and copy it and then paste it over there, because I realized that if I just copied the text and did a Control C or even Control V, I would basically get this little square every time there was a TI together, and it was weird. And so instead, I don't know why. It's just a formatting thing with PDFs.
It's a copying from PDFs works very weird with specific fonts.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of the PDF format and whatever font you guys are using. Absolutely no one's fault. It's just a weird ass thing that happens.
So once I realized that, I started just screenshotting the page and clipping it. But sometimes your charts, your tables are split between 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to take 2 screenshots and then format it and hope that it aligned up. So if you love Matt and you love Matt enough to give him less of a migraine and can find a way to have each table on 1 page, so I don't have to do that, I would personally love it very much.
I do have one suggestion for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back to it because I need to look at how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so close to the end here, Matt. It's almost not worth playing. Not worth the effort.
That's fair too. It's just something that I encountered.
Layout designers next, and then
and the tables will be all on 1 page as long as they
100%.
can fit on 1 page, because some of them might take.
Some of them they're like 3 pages long. I understand.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that was my biggest pet peeve, which is a very minor pet peeve, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I can understand it.
Yeah. So there's a way to take out the page breaks and just see it as a very little line.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Well,
personally.
he's using the PDF, though, not.
Oh, he's using the
Google
PDF.
Docs. Can you
Yeah, I'm using the PDF for it.
Yeah, there is still a way to do it in PDF. It's one of the different scrolling options that basically makes it all one continuous.
Continuous scroll, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Good to know. Good to know. I'll remember that for next time. Okay. What other things? So what other things kind of stick out to everybody?
So, just to be clear, this is not like a dig at anybody. I've been playing since I was about 13, been playing a lot of different systems, and the one thing that really stood out to me is not as an overall character, because as an overall character you can like put in your own style and flair and everything, but just as a Magi-Knight specifically, it didn't feel to me like the characters were different enough. Like the class that I took didn't make enough of a difference to my playstyle to actually matter. So, like, in the final fight that we did, if you look at all of the damage and the things that people did to actually, like, fight Lacey, most of that, the blast spell, whether it was quickened or,
Yeah.
And
it's explode hordes and beam single enemies, and that's kind of the only combat option.
It may have been partially because we were, only 1st or 2nd level or whatever, but I sort of tried to build my character up as like a fencer type. I based him off of Don Quixote, and it never really felt like I had any sort of different play style from anybody else, even like the ones who had like heavier or lighter armor. We were all just kind of doing similar things,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's an interesting thought.
And it's just kind of like, obviously part of it is due to the level, but even in like, certain other systems, just say like D&D 5e, because everybody knows it, a monk plays differently from a barbarian, plays differently from a wizard, sorcerer, whatever. And it might just be the limits of the genre, because a lot of the Sentai characters who are all in the same team tend to be very similar in what they can do, aside from maybe their personal weapon. But I really I would love to have some way to feel a bit more like, I bring something to this team that other people don't, because, with the spells that they have, like eventually you see in the chart, you get, most of the spells, not all of them, but most of them. And so, I just like that feeling of having a niche.
You guys were playing an earlier iteration, like Matt kind of said, you guys didn't have a chance to play with some of the guns, as far as I'm aware, right?
Yeah, and that's definitely a big thing too, because now there's guns, now there's summonses, now there's
Companions.
Has
companions.
the tarot stuff come out yet?
The tarot stuff is out.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's its own spell path. So there's actually release and tarot, and they're two different things.
Yeah.
And
So that makes
there's
me
chronomancy,
feel
and
better.
So it'll just, as we continue to grow and develop the game and then release
Yeah.
expansion content, I definitely hear what you're saying. And honestly, I guess I'll just I'll say it here. I don't know if I've said it before, but there is going to be another class, quote unquote, and it'll, but introducing a class in this game, as you can see, it's a totally different.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's something we want to do right and make sure that it feels right for the genre. But that's
Yeah.
100% great feedback. My biggest concern would be if that feeling continues beyond anything past level 3 or even 4.
Mhm.
So that would be big alarm bells for me.
And we did have the opportunity to flavor our characters with the different elements and things. It just didn't really seem to have as much mechanical effect.
Right.
So, from a mechanic standpoint, that's something that I will continue on with. Like, I have noticed that while technically there are multiple elements, they have multiple different theoretical things. It's all mostly flavor. Whereas if you look at Final Fantasy, that actually has a very strong elemental resistance kind of table to that. That might be something to kind of balance that out, the way Daryl or Steven was talking about.
Yeah. I think so.
So for me, the way I described Magi-Knights to a few friends of mine was everyone's basically a warlock of a different flavor.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a really accurate portrayal, because your warlock patron is your herald. In this group's case was the Wanderer, which is a name I use very, very often in most of my streams. Everybody who plays with me knows it. But I think my herald that I commissioned for this one was very, very cute. Little black cat with dragon wings and green eyes. That was made by another one of my players in my homebrew campaign. But basically, that's what they are. They're warlocks. They have been brought back to life or stopped from dying by a very strong patron to deal with other things that are a lot more powerful. You think that's fairly accurate, Derek?
Yeah, and actually, in the 5e supplement we created, there actually is a mechanic where if you have a warlock patron, some bad things can happen. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Very nice. We're getting pretty close to the end here. It's 9:54. Anyone else have anything they really want to shout out about as far as the mechanics wise?
I think for me, the biggest thing that bumped me, and this probably has changed over time, I think that because weapons are tied to your element type, it can, if you're trying to play like a specific lane with where you're going with a character, if you pick an element type that you think fits it, the weapon you might get might not. Because I know, I was like, okay, I'm going to take void stuff, I'm going to take darkness and void. And a good chunk of the weapons were like strength based, and I was like, well, I guess I'm never using this. But then I had to.
Yeah, that was a really big feedback actually from multiple people, and that's something we had to overhaul, but it was overhauled. So yeah, the elements are no longer tied to weaponry proficiency.
Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
3.0 or something. So that's been for a while too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think that was a
one of
good
the
call.
First big things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was, and that's a great call. And I know in the current iteration, it's a lot more balanced because of that. So
Yeah, it was kind of a callback to 5e's class restrictions on weapons, and kind of leading into that quickly was apparent that no one wanted it. Let's just not need it.
I think it doesn't really. I think it just didn't really fit with the genre, because like you literally couldn't make Sailor Saturn in this system, which is a little bit weird.
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah,
so that's why I love this community feedback, and the server and watching streams has just been super incredibly helpful. I love feedback. I love hearing the community's opinions. So keep it coming, and I'm always on Discord and rule clarification and mechanics workshop, taking feedback, working with the players, and really trying to make the best product we can, and making sure that it's something that everyone loves and enjoys, and ultimately it's just is something that you can put on your coffee table and just be super happy and flip through your friends or anyone who sees it and just like, look at this incredible artwork. Oh, isn't this great? Isn't this monster horrific? You're gonna have nightmares tonight. So it'd be great.
Yeah,
It's
and
gonna go right over there next to the Power Rangers RPG.
oh yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I can't wait till I get my hardback copy of it. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you guys.
Well,
Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Derek and Kira, for hanging out with us as we kind of recapped our game and bullshitted and talked a lot about random things, but also talked about your system. Very much appreciate you having you here. Also, very much appreciate just the work you're doing, putting together another TTRPG for all of us to play. All of us here are either content creators or streamers or just aficionados of TTRPGs. So we very much appreciate you bringing more content, more creativity, more awesome things into the works for us to play with. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you very much, both of you.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you guys. It's just been really great working with you guys, and having you guys appear on our Kickstarter page was just really fun. It was, and seeing the traffic it brought through to that first episode, just thinking all these people are checking not only out the Kickstarter but your stream and watching you guys, and we're just gonna keep doing it. To be honest, you're probably one of our favorite streamers. We love having you guys, and
Well, thank you.
we're just gonna keep doing it. So.
Yep.
Please continue to enjoy the ride with us.
Well, I know for my part, I definitely enjoy playing it. I enjoy running it. I'm in 2023. I'm going to be running another one, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Alyssa and Steven are both players in my 2 campaigns, which the overall arc they know I call the Dreaming Tree Saga. I'm planning on taking the same basic concept and doing a Magi-Knights version of it. And it's the 2 of you, you know exactly where I'm going with this, and you know how I can do it, and it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Oh man. Oh
Yeah.
man, you're gonna have to deal with the dreamers.
Oh my god,
Shit.
the Dreamers are fun, and honestly, like as I've been playing this Echo from the Stars, I've been getting a lot of ideas and a lot of gameplay for it, and I can very easily run a 1 to 15 campaign for Magi-Knights through it, and I don't think it would be a challenge at all. I really don't.
You like keeping your eyes on things.
I cannot wait to force myself into this campaign and try out the summoning path.
Yeah.
Do it.
Which
You
is-
don't even have to force your way in. I will make room for you. I will throw elbows.
Yeah, I mean, the next campaign I run, I want 5 players to do 5 very different elements, 5 very different fighting strategies. I want it to. I want a gunslinger in there. I want a summoner in there. I want a tarot slinger in there. I want the whole shebang because I think we can be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Look, I will 100% make a Digimon tamer. Just
Tarot sounds.
Are you gonna run it like in the 90s, Matt? Or
Yeah, in the 90s. In the 90s. I have very firm ideas on how I'm going to do this, and like Steven especially, he's involved in a pretty big plot with our group's our world's church. So you should probably guess some of the directions I'm going.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I have genre savvy as a superpower.
Derek, I love H.P. Lovecraft, and I feel like you do too. And yeah. Mountains of Madness is Magi-Knights. Third arc.
I'm gonna be there.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. but that's in 2023. I have a lot of projects that I'm working on in 2023, but that's okay.
Matt, 2023 happens in 3 weeks.
I know it does, and that's why I'm closing Curse of Strahd in January, and I already have more than enough applicants. But I always tell my players, anyone who plays in my games gets first dibs. If I know you and we're cool, you get first dibs. So if you want to play, go for it. Magi-Knights the same way. Those of you who want to play in the Magi-Knights thing, I know Kira, you've expressed interest as well. We're doing it in 2023. It's going to be in spring at some point. I'm going to do. I'm starting Curse of Strahd first. Magi-Knights is second. So it's going to be there.
Well, spring is about when the official PDF will be out, and soon after the book. So, I think that'll help streamline things, make things a lot easier. And hey, maybe we'll even give some PDFs out during your stream.
Hell yeah!
Timing wise, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, let's coordinate a little bit on that. I mean, my timeline's always fluid, so I'll coordinate if you're willing to coordinate. I'm down for that.
Yeah, we love you guys. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, sounds good. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, which means this is the end. This is it. This is the end of An Echo from the Stars on the Random Rhapsody channel. So, one last time, tell me who you are, where can we find you, and how much you fucking love the Magi-Knights. And, god damn it, Jasmine, I'm going for you first. So, Dasonie, tell me, where can I find you?
For the last time for a little bit, I play Jasmine, but my name is Dasonie Nelson. You can find me, and starting in the new year, the second week of the new year, on the Power Rangers Project Squadron YouTube channel on Power Rangers Savage Stampede. I play Natasha Blackwood, the Black Ranger, and on social media, anywhere you can spell my name correctly, you'll find me. I'm not even telling you how. You have to figure that out. Yeah, you gotta earn that part.
I'm proud of the fact I've pronounced your name the right way. I spent a lot of time practicing it. Alyssa, how about you?
Yeah. Well, you can find me here on Random Rhapsody Monday evenings, playing with the Fab Five. Wow, this pronunciation thing is contagious.
Right.
But other than that, you can find me on Instagram at Alyssa Crochets, where you can find a bunch of the nerdy stuff that I've made, where I also am open for commissions and stuff. Things like this baby girl
so
doll
cool.
that is my nephew's holiday gift, as
Beautiful.
well as the first ones I ever made, which were these little Star Wars buddies.
Get out.
Yeah, I just make a bunch of nerdy stuff there. So, and I made Matt's D20 and Fedora. That was his holiday gift. And yeah, so if dice bag, yes. / drink cozy. If you drink drinks out of cans, it's the perfect size. But yeah, so hit me up there or on our Discord servers, either here with the Magi-Knights or on the Random Rhapsody one, or if you know me from anywhere else there, just be like, hey, Alyssa, can you make me a thing? And I'll make it. I'll do it.
Hell yeah. She does amazing work. Amazing work.
Yeah.
Jeff, jumping down to you.
I'm Jeff. I'm Hyperklathos on most things. I'm the only Hyperklathos anywhere online. But I don't really do anything that crazy. So this was the one thing I was a part of.
Check Jeff out on the Random Rhapsody Network and also on Bard Rock Cafe, where they were on one of the streams for charity.
I was on that, wasn't I?
You were.
Yeah,
you were. I was very proud of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our lets he forgets.
Okay.
Short-term memory, okay?
Hitoshura, how about you?
Hi, my name is Justin. You can find me at Tensei Dragon on all of the things. That is TENSEIDRAGON. You can find me primarily playing Nadir Kusain Amber on the Bard Rock Cafe podcast. I am so glad that we made such an impression on you that you forgot that you were on our thing. We are getting heavily into the streaming side of actual plays as well. We have a Spelljammer game going right now, and we are going to start a Final Fantasy X inspired game of Valor coming up next year as well, with some very special guests that I am very excited to play with.
I'm envious of your Valor game. I really want to play that one. Okay, Steven.
Hi, my name is Steven. I am on the internet with the internet handle Togapika. That is because I made it when Pokemon was still really popular, and I didn't know how to spell Togepi correctly, because it was my favorite Pokemon when it first came out. You can generally find me here Mondays, 3 to 6 Central Time. I am in the Debauchery Circus campaign, where I play Corin Hassan, a Chronergy wizard. We are taking a couple of weeks off for the holidays, but we will be back, and it's really getting to the exciting part, because we're getting up there in levels. And
Yeah, you're almost at the end of it. Season 3 is about to hit. It's coming close, so it's going to be a lot
my
of fun.
character got a boyfriend.
He did. He finally got laid. It was amazing. Okay, Derek and Kira, tell us about yourselves.
You can tell them.
Well, I'm Derek, the game creator of Magi-Knights, but the big face of the project is the project manager. So, Kira, since you're in charge of all our social media.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and is that it? Yeah. But most and Twitter, but most active on Discord. And most of our what do you call it? The screen name is at Magi_Knights. So if you just look that up, or even just the name of our game, you can find us. And then, so Magi-Knights is our main thing, but I also recently self-published a children's book, which I have copies of now.
So cute. So cute.
That's so exciting!
Yes. Which it's basically about Derek and our daughter, and also a little bit me too, just my experiences with him as a game master. So yeah, so that's mainly where you can find us and what we do.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, my dad, the game master.
Love it. It's adorable. I love the art on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for being a part of it. You can also find Derek and Kira on Magi-Knights.com, which is where you can pre-order a copy of Magi-Knights if you want to play it. Or if you see this after, in another year or so, order it, because it's going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, I am Matthew R. Dawson. I'm your friendly neighborhood host and GM. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as @ScruffyWanderer, all one word. You can also find us random Rhapsody, random underscore Rhapsody, sorry, not dash, random underscore Rhapsody on Twitter. And you can find us pretty much everywhere else. On YouTube is Random Rhapsody, on Anchor is Random Rhapsody, on Twitch is Random Rhapsody. We're everywhere. So if you're enjoying us and you're enjoying what we do, please come hang out. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of random goofy shit, and we're always up for doing more, including Magi-Knights, which is going to happen in 2023 and is going to be awesome. So
we even have channel point redeems for D&D, so if you come watch the stream, you can mess with us.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Or help us, because sometimes things are real hard.
No, mess with them. Do it.
Please mess with them. Please. I very much want this. I very much want this. I encourage you 100%. Come fuck with my characters, please.
Look, Matt told me that I couldn't redeem things while on the stream, which means that nobody playing deserves good things. So
Yeah.
Matt has just invited you to fuck with his characters, is exactly the words that he said.
yeah.
Well, I consider all of you my. Okay, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I should have re-said that. Please fuck with my players. Please fuck with my players
As you should.
all the time, as much as you can. Please do. Please screw with them. Please make them hurt. Because apparently I'm just really nice, and I don't intend to be. And they need you to screw with them more. That's what we've learned from this.
You almost killed us?
So many times.
Hasn't killed you yet.
But I haven't killed.
Problem.
I've killed Steven.
Reincarnated over here. I reincarnated, so
I've killed you, what, twice now?
yeah. I think.
At least? Yeah, no, 3 times. I've killed you 3 times. I killed you once as Finn, and then twice as Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
He
okay.
keeps coming back.
He does.
Not doing effective enough.
He does. But that's okay. But that's it. That's it for the Magi-Knights, an Echo from the Stars. We had a lot of fun playing it. I hope everybody had a lot of fun watching it. And we're going to be back here very, very soon with another insane Magi-Knights adventure. So, for the last time, on behalf of the Nighty-Knights and everyone in the Random Rhapsody cast and crew, I just want to say one last time, thank you for watching. Have a great evening, and we'll see you again very soon. Good night.
Nighty-night.
Night.
Nighty-night, everybody.